We live?
We live.
Oh, hell. Give us a warning next time. We're deep in a conversation about pilot and drinking.
You know what's funny is we all have what we call secret spots. You know, I have a secret spot here on Lake Roadhiss, the spillway.
It ain't secret no more.
Let me finish. That's my point. It's what we think are secrets. In the grand scheme of things, aren't secrets at all. Everyone knows about it. You can Google it, and there are actually Carolina Sportsman articles all about it, telling you all about it, everything you want to know. Same thing with just about everywhere that you can imagine. I guarantee you there's an article on Lake Russell, for example, down on the Savannah chain, telling you in detail how to target trophy stripers. So it's really not a secret. The thing is we are surrounded by party fishermen. And the thing about party fishermen is they don't give a rat's butt about a trophy fish anyways. They're trying to go fill a cooler up. And places like this, the regulations are so strict, they can't fill a cooler up. What is the regulations on Russell?
I think it's 1 over 36 inches or something like that.
Yeah. Well, that's some pretty strict regulations. Same thing with Tennessee, right?
But it only matters if you got somebody enforcing the regulations. So.
True, yeah.
I mean, 90% of people are meat fishermen anyways. You know, they only fish a handful of times a year. They fill their coolers up. They're fair weather fishermen, you know, and they're done. They're not going to go through any trouble. They're not going to take a chance on getting skunked. You know, they might go do a Tennessee, Middle Tennessee trophy trip. You know, they might go do it once, but it'll probably be the last time they go do it. Same way with Roadhiss, same way with Russell. All these places are just so temperamental when it comes to catching these big fish. These people don't want anything to do with it.
I think most people fish Russell a couple times and quit because it's tough. But I think the thing people get mad about is not necessarily it's a honey hole or someplace people don't know about, but you waste your gas going up there, and then when it's on, you post some pictures, and then like they know it's on, they know where you're at. So
that's what I was gonna say. It's not about a secret spot. It's about people knowing that the bite's on.
Right.
That's right fast.
Yep.
And I mean, there was rumors about, you know, the Russell, the meth heads at the ramps and stuff. And I mean, that's all true. You're taking a risk going up there, but
I just looked it up. It's 2 under 34 inches, 1 fish over 34 inches.
Well, that's close.
Yeah. Same thing, pretty much.
Guys, we're in the middle of. Go ahead, Scott.
No, but I don't think nobody really fishes Russell for meat fish anyway. I mean, it's too tough of a lake to go up there and try to fish it for. You can go to Hartwell and fill a cooler, or you can go below to Clarks Hill and fill a cooler. I mean, right. You're going to get skunked at Russell a lot, or lose them in the trees.
Lose them in the trees, yeah.
Lose those clothes hangers, right?
Well, they'll take that live bait right to the trees too. Them fish know where every tree is in that lake.
So I went fishing on Norman last night, and there was a lot of bait circling the dock lights. What kind of bait you guys think that was? You think it was threadfin, gizzard shad?
You tell us, you were there.
Alewives.
Probably alewives or threadfins.
I would guess most of the time when I mark a ton of bait and a lot of bait this time of year, it's usually threadfins.
Well, this was big, like almost dollar bill size alewives. I mean, just pristine alewives. And there was a lot of them. Like if you wanted to fill a tank up, I threw the net one time. I probably had 8 dozen in one throw. Big alewives. And the hybrids, I caught 14 hybrids. They were so easy. You threw the net, you catch the alewives, you hook the alewife on a Billy Boy slip float, set it at about 2 foot deep, throw it over on the corner of the dock, boom, you come tight, you're fighting a hybrid within 10 seconds. All you want, left them biting. I mean, it was the funnest trip ever. And
So
unfortunately, I was by myself.
Some of the funnest trips I have ever had way back in the day when I did live bait was just like you said, live baiting for hybrids or back then striper under lights. And I would just freeline a shad. I think, I find it a little funner to actually feel that thump and having that fish swim off versus watching a cork, doing it. But
you don't have to watch it very long.
Yeah, well, I bet so. But back in the day, the striper, there weren't hybrids back then. But one thing, I don't know if it's the same thing, the same pattern with the hybrids. You can probably enlighten us on that. But I'd go to a light, I'd catch 2 or 3, and they'd shut down. And I got to move somewhere else. And I'll come back to that light maybe 45 minutes later and probably pick up 3, 4 more, and then they'll shut down. Do the hybrids the same? Is it the same exact thing there, or
They do, but it's not as drastic. They only shut down for a few minutes, and then they're right back at it. Yeah, they were so thick.
I've never fished dock lights like that, but I had a buddy of mine that does, and he runs a super light drag, and he claims that if you hook that fish and you run that super light drag and let it get out away from the other fish and then fight it, then they'll stay on the light. But he said if you catch one on the light and you just fight it, like the other fish will, I don't know if they scatter.
They do, but things are so, we're at a climax right now on Lake Norman. I've been waiting on this to happen. It hasn't happened. I've been going out there every weekend at night on these dock lights for the past 3 weeks, and it's been a ghost land. It's been nothing, absolutely nothing. I mean, you could see the plankton that was in there thick, but this past week they have shown up, and it's prime. It could not, this is the climax. This is when it's time to go. And what I like about this time of year is this right here keys you in on when they're upriver. I know that everybody's been talking about how the bite hasn't been as good this year upriver. Well, I think it has a lot to do with our cold fronts that we've gotten, the water temps. We've actually had a spring, and they were just a little late this year is all. Guarantee you they're probably up there now, because from my experience, anytime, because I'm fishing up in Stumpy Creek, Rocky Creek, Hicks Creek, in that area. From my experience, when those hybrids show up and those alewives start circling those lights real thick up in those creeks on Lake Norman, usually they're already upriver. So you can go on upriver at daybreak, and if they're running water, you'll limit out pretty quick up there.
I would guess that them, since you said the lights were dead, that they were probably spawning, and then once the spawn got over, that bait went to the lights.
I think so. I think that the herring and the alewives, which is they're in the herring family, but I think that they are the first ones to spawn as far as the forage go, as far as the threadfin and the gizzard. I think they're the first ones to spawn. So I think that they'd spawned out, and these fish that were circling the lights were adult bait fish. These weren't babies. Now the funny thing is you could move into some smaller cuts on some dock lights that in shallower water, and you had the baby. I don't know if they were baby threadfin or if they were baby alewives or what, but you had giant pods of the baby shad or herring.
So where exactly was that dock light?
Yeah, what creek? what part of the main lake? What marker? Huh? Come on. Hey, real quick, Chris Layton there said something about that Baden Lake. How'd you end up doing the other day, if you're still on? And did you navigate that river pretty easily?
Where's Baden Lake?
It's near my neck of the woods.
I'll tell you what was weird for me.
Yeah,
what was weird for me last night was I didn't see one bass dart through. Usually when you go up to a dock light, you got your circling alewives. I mean, they're circling. I'm talking, it's the craziest thing you've ever seen. These things are 8 feet wide in diameter, and they're making probably a 12 to 15 foot circle in diameter around this dock light. And this time of year, early spring, well, in this case, mid-spring, there's not a break in them. Normally, like in the beginning of spring, there's not a break, but by this time, usually there's a break in them. When I say a break, I mean like when you see them circling, they'll come around, and then you won't see any for a second. And then they'll come around, and then you won't see any for a second. Well, right now, it never stops. It's just one big large band that just continues to circle. There's no break in them at all. You don't, when you throw the cast net, you don't have to wait on them to come around. You just throw it. It's simple. But my point, what I was trying to say was, I saw absolutely no bass darting through. Normally, when you go up there, you see bass darting through. You'll see a gar every once in a while. You see hybrids. You know, it's just a smorgasbord of fish that are in there feeding on those alewives. Well, I didn't see not one bass, and I'm like, well, what's going on with the bass? What's going? I mean, I didn't see any spots or largemouth, but I finally did. I seen what they were doing, and it's very odd behavior. What these fish are doing, now the hybrids are staying on a corner of a dock, and they're staying like just deep enough to where you can't see them. Like, I don't know how much feet of visibility you had, probably 3 to 4 feet, maybe more, but probably about 5 feet of this visibility actually. But these hybrids are coming up, and you can see them. And then these are big, sizable hybrids. They're coming up, 2, 3, 4 at a time. And they'll come up, and then they'll turn sideways, and then they'll kind of go back down where you can't see them. And then they'll come up a couple at a time. I got it on video, but didn't see any bass. And I don't know if it's the hybrids that are scaring the bass away, but I did notice what they were doing. What these bass were doing were they were staying under that dock. And when I'm saying staying under that dock, I'm talking about at the surface of the friggin' water. Like, their dorsal fins were probably touching the flotation on the dock. That's how high under the dock they were. And the only reason I know that is because I took a live alewife and I dropped it in the water right in front of the dock one time just by accident. And I seen this bass. He just came out like that, and then he went right back in. Came out like that. And then he backed right back in, right back up under the dock. And his dorsal fin had to have been touching the styrofoam, the flotation on the dock. That's how high he was. So what's up with that? What is that? Not odd behavior? Why are those bass doing? Why aren't they out there? My theory is that those are not spots. I only seen 2, and I don't believe they're spots. I believe they're actual largemouths. And the thing with the black bass population on Lake Norman is 90% of the black bass population are spots, only 10% are largemouth. Well, these fish were acting like they were largemouth. So I'm thinking that that's probably what they were. They were just kind of, maybe they're just scared because, I mean, the spots have taken over. They can't compete with the spots. So it's like they just sit back and just wait on an opportunity. They know that there's no point in them even swimming out there and trying to swim and compete with the spots, because they're just not going to.
And they might have fed up real heavy before you got there. And I mean,
True, yeah.
Anyways, I thought I noted that, and I thought I'd bring it up tonight.
Nobody cares about bass.
That's right, trash fish.
It's all fish,
Catfish
all of their behavior is all related. They all relate to structure. They all relate to cover.
I think the hybrid are more schooling fish. I mean, bass are more solitary. They might be 2 or 3 together, but there was probably 100 hybrid there.
Now, I've been fishing this particular dock light that I'm talking about. I got probably 8 or 10 good dock lights out there, but this particular one.
Where was that one?
I've been fishing it for about 15 years now, at least.
There's no secret holes.
And
That's
before,
right.
there isn't. All the locals know about it. But anyways,
above 150, below 150.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, the hybrids. The difference between the hybrids and the stripers. Back before they stocked hybrids, when there were still stripers in the lake, they were still stocking 08, 09, somewhere around in there. What the stripers would relate to the more shallow dock lights. The deeper dock lights with the alewives circling, you would never catch the stripers on those lights. There would be plenty of spots and bass and gar and everything else, but there would never be any stripers. But there would be stripers pretty close by, like on a point or a flat or some shallow water, because in the spring, because they're spawning. But
I've noticed with the striper also that on Lake Norman during those heydays there, they'd be on main lake lights, but they would not be in the lights in pockets or further back in creeks.
Yes. And crappie do that too. Like in the, certain times of the year when all you're catching is little tiny crappie on brush piles up in the creeks and the secondary creeks and everything, you can go out to some brush piles on the main lake and you can get the bigger crappie.
Yep.
What do you think the striper might be on the shallower docks targeting like maybe gizzard shad, bigger bait?
I think so. Maybe Brent. I don't know. I don't know. I haven't really figured that out, but yeah, they were always on the sandy. They loved sand. A lot of bass fishermen don't. What I have found out from bass fishing this, past season is that bass don't really relate to sand that much. I love sand. If I go out and I find a sandy point or a sandy flat, or I'm fishing the crap out of it. And now I'm realizing why I'm not catching any bass is because the bass aren't really relating to the sand like the stripers did.
Uh-huh.
But I loved the sand when it came to striper fishing in the spring, throwing red fin, stuff like that out there at night.
The DNR, when they told us when they were tracking striper spawning, and they were talking about how they all didn't go up river to spawn, some would just go to the closest point. Said they were on like red clay points mostly, the way they spawned.
I think that's a South Carolina thing. The thing about Lake Norman is
I don't agree with that. I think this has been my opinion for a very, very long time, and it still holds true with hybrids on Lake Norman. Some of your biggest fish will not go in that river. They won't.
Where are they going? Up the back of like Mountain Creek, some of the major creeks?
So Mountain Creek is a pretty hot creek. Just like you won't tell me your dock light, I won't tell you the big fish hole. But yeah, I mean, there's a couple creeks in general that they'll actually go in the back of that creek and they'll do a nice spawn.
Well, I mean,
I know a lot of the locals, like well, you don't know some of these folks, but some of the Lake Norman guys, they will fish the back of these creeks and they'll do very well.
I'll tell you what,
they have been this spring too. Actually,
you want to limit out on big hybrids pretty quickly. Go with me to Lake Norman pretty soon, like in the next week, and we'll absolutely smack them, man.
Let me know. I'll be free for the most part after this upcoming Wednesday. So, yep.
He won't be able to see, but he'll go with you.
Damn. No, I'll be able to see by then. That's why I'm ready. We'll take my boat with the working trolling motor.
Man, there used to be this dock light in the mouth of. What happened?
We're here.
We're here.
Oh, my screen went blank. I don't know what happened.
Mine kept going dark. I have to touch it. That's the first time I've had to do that.
Huh. There used to be this dock light, and it wasn't a light on top of the water. This one was on the bottom of the lake. It was only in like 8 feet of water, but it was very close to the creek channel. It was the mouth of the creek, and the main channel swung around to the mouth of the creek. There was a big channel being right at the mouth of the creek there. Uh-huh. And then the creek channel swung out and met the main river channel. And there's this guy had this dock. He lived right in the bend of the creek channel. So you had all this compounded structure right in this area. Even though his dock light was only 8 foot deep, it was pretty adjacent to deeper water, and it was on the bottom. And man, that was the best dock light on Lake Norman. You could go out there with just some friggin' shiners. You couldn't really catch the bait. The alewives wouldn't be circling and all that jazz, but you could stop by the bait shop and get some even crappie minnows. But we used to always get bass minnows, and you could limit out on big hybrids really quick right there. But he ended up running us off.
Was this light way down lake?
It was not way down lake. I'll tell you where it was, because it's not on anymore. It was in the mouth of Hicks Creek, but it was kind of hidden. You couldn't see it. Like when you go into Hicks Creek, you had to look. Once you enter, the island there at the mouth of Hicks, if you go to the right side of that island, and as soon as you go in there, and if you look down there was a dock light. Old man named Chip. Uh-huh. He lived in a little small rinky-dink house. It's the old rinky-dink houses that have the best freaking docks to fish on.
Someone always asks me on Lake Norman, they're like, "Hey, how do you know which docks have brush for crappie?" I'm like, "Easy, man. If you idle around and if it looks like a damn fisherman lives there, there's brush there. If it looks like a dang pleasure boater lives there, there's probably no brush there."
you know, docks are the #1 structure on Lake Norman. And the cool thing about Lake Norman is it is so easy to take your boat. You don't even have to come off your gas motor. You know, you could be going up to 4 miles an hour for a very good return on your sonar. And you can just run in front of these docks looking at your sonar, and you can see everything right in front of the dock with your structure scan.
Why wouldn't you just take your own light?
Well, you have, when a light comes on every single night at the same time, it's on a timer, it's coming on every single night. And if you could find a dock, now these things are like gold. There aren't many of them, but if you could find them, they are absolute gold. If you could find the docks with the styrofoam flotation, you know, most 90% of your docks nowadays have that black plastic flotation, and those aren't worth a crap. If you could find one with the styrofoam holds the algae. So you got all kinds of chloroform going on. You got the
microorganisms.
Yes, you have the zooplankton, the phytoplankton. You have all of this food chain.
That's kind of good.
Concentrated.
That's kind of Guggen fishing a dock like.
It is. You know, it's something that
you might as well tie up to one of them ropes that are hanging from the bridge.
It's something that I started out doing, you know, 20 years ago, and I remember the first time I did it, and I guess it's kind of nostalgic for me. You know, I agree. It's definitely a beginner type or intermediate type of fishing, but it's so much fun because you get to see, you get to witness the fish's behavior. You get to see how gar feed. Like I know that gar are actually docile. Everybody looks at a needle-nosed gar and they're like, they see all those teeth and they're like, man, those things are scary. Those things will bite you. No, they won't. They're the most docile fish in the freaking lake. When you catch one, they fight like a freaking blue marlin when you hook them. But while they're feeding, they're actually just using their pec fins, and they're just very slowly moving around, and they wait on a fish to come by. And when the fish comes by, they'll actually use their pec fins to back up to the fish, and then they just.
So, you like night fishing, JR?
I love night fishing. Yes.
I got a high pressure sodium light. I'll give you if you want it.
Well, I would have to have a generator to run it, wouldn't I?
It will pull every bait off of any dock light. I guarantee it.
Do I need to buy a generator?
I mean, I can loan you a generator, but yeah.
Okay.
Harbor Freight got them for $400.
$400? I can't afford that.
Oh, shut up.
I would love to, but I remember when the Hydroglow lights first came out. Do you remember that? The fishing secret, you know?
I had one, but a high pressure sodium will pull everything away from it.
I was going through some of my stuff here in the shed, and I found a bunch of those. They call they may still be around. Q-beams, remember those?
Q-beams?
Q-beams. They little lights that you plug into your battery.
And they float with the styrofoam?
No, not those. The ones that's submergible that you stick in the water.
Yeah, I had one of those too.
Yeah, I found like 6 in a package still in my shed here.
I was fishing.
I never was much night fishing because I don't like staying up late. But we used to have a 12-hour night tournament twice a year when I was at Striper Kings, and I had a Hydroglow, and I'd go out there and I'd set my Hydroglow out and I'd start pulling plankton and bait in, and then, I mean, a quarter mile away, a guy would put a high pressure sodium out, and all of a sudden, I mean, them things, nothing would beat a high. If you find a dock with basically a street light on it, I would think that would be killer.
It is. It is, especially if you can find a dock with the styrofoam flotation. It's very killer. It's absolute paradise.
So after the first year, I learned my lesson, and I got a generator and high pressure sodium, and that made it
no longer night fish.
No.
You know why? Because you're like me. You learn how to fish during the day, and you said, "Fuck night fishing."
We would fish 12 hours. I mean, we would go there at 8 and start lines in at 9 and fish till 7 in the morning, and weigh in at like 8:30, then get home about 10. I mean, whew.
Yeah, I'm a little too old to be doing that anymore, but I still like to do it once a year, especially in the springtime. And I like going and doing it in the summertime, like July and August.
And you're surprised how cold you'll get at 3 o'clock in the morning when that dew starts falling, even in July.
Oh, dude, I tell you, some of the most hairiest situations I've ever been in have been at night while night fishing. Like before the GPS days, you go out there and the fog rolls in and you can't see.
Oh my
shit.
God.
Oh,
Yes, you
been
are
there, done that.
exactly right.
Even without the fog, without GPS, I mean, everything looks like you'll be just trying to idle the bank, trying to figure out where you're supposed to turn. I mean,
the best way to do a night fishing with a light, the ideal situation would be springtime, peak spring, like right now, and on a new moon. You don't want to be competing with the moon with your light, and to go out and try to find some structure that is within that depth range of photosynthesis, something that has plenty of algae on it, some cover, like some trees, just really anything that is gonna, because anything down there is going to have algae on it. So if you could get over something and put your light out on a new moon and get out there right at dark, right before it gets dark, and actually have your light out like at right before it actually gets dark, and you could definitely pull some bait and catch some good fish. And a lot of your bigger catfish, you're gonna have to cast out because they're not going to come around that light, but they will come, on the outer perimeters of it.
what's kind of crazy is like on our night tournaments, like say July, it's not dead of summer, but close to it. Like Hartwell's full of trees. So if you found an open, like a little, it might only be the size of, it might be 50-yard circle where it's a clean bottom surrounded by trees, 110 foot deep, and it took me years to figure it out, these guys catching these fish. But the thermocline would be like 35 to say 55 in July. And the biggest fish would come 90 to 100 foot deep.
Damn.
Wow. I've never caught any fish that deep in fresh water.
I mean, for the first couple of years, we'd have 6 rods out front of the boat, middle of the boat, back of the boat. And we'd do like 35, 45, 55, 65, and then you were talking about this the other day when I went on there. We'd drop all our rods down at them depths and then give it 5 minutes and reel them all back up, and we'd see which herrings were alive. And if they were stone cold dead at 35, then we weren't putting no more there. If they were dead at 90, no more were going there. So that's how we reached the depth. And there'd be a certain depth where they'd stay alive for 30, 45 minutes.
I love that.
But it's crazy that the bigger fish were 30 foot below the thermocline, almost.
Guys, if you'll notice, we're one short tonight. We're missing Wes.
Wait a minute.
Hang on, get on the phone and call somebody.
Hold on a minute. I'm live. I'll call you back.
Oh hell.
So yeah, Wes is feeling a little under the weather. He called me tonight and it's like, well, first he called me and he was like, what are we going to talk about? And I told him, he was like, okay, buddy, I'll see you in a little bit. And then he called me back and said he wasn't feeling good, so he wasn't going to be able to make it tonight. So everybody, we will have Wes back.
That's what happens when you're running and gunning nonstop, going to the beach, fishing all day, coming back. Those dang $220 hotel rooms will make you do that.
He's seasick.
That's right. Exactly. He's seasick.
Now, could you possibly target some trophy stripers at night with a light?
I mean,
when I think of fishing with a light, I think of like Lake Murray at the towers. You got a light out, everybody's fishing thermocline, catching party fish. Like, is there a situation like on the Savannah chain, for example, where you can actually go at night utilizing a light and actually have a chance at some trophies?
Yeah, but you wouldn't be over deep water. You'd be the same area you target trophies at during the day right now. But like our day, like when Hartwell was good and say it took 3 fish, 40 pounds to win in the spring. That's usually what we had 3 fish weighing. So say 40 pounds was a good weigh in the spring. In the summer, if you got like 22 pounds, you're probably going to be in the money or up at the top. I mean, there's mostly small fish caught. in the summertime, downlining. Now there was an
Now-
occasional 20, 25 pounder caught, but
Now I notice a lot of guys have been going to target and trophy stripers in the past month and haven't been doing that well. And like me recently on Norman, the bite has really turned on at night. We're finally getting that spring bite where the bait's on the lights, like I was talking about earlier. And it seems like we had David Mercer go down and Benji went down to a lake in South Carolina and caught some very, very big trophy stripers. Do you think that maybe a lot of these guys were pulling the trigger a little too early? I noticed Daryl Barney also was complaining about lack of a bite in Tennessee. They weren't doing good.
Simple, man. Lack of rain everywhere. Lack of rain.
yeah,
Is that what it is? Is it got
No
to do
water
with
flow.
the rain?
No water flow.
I think that and the cooler temperatures. I mean, basically, them fish are forced up for temperature, bait. I mean, there was nothing to force them up there early
I mean,
this year.
you say water flow, but I'm gonna have to not necessarily disagree, but I would like for you to expound on that, because, like I was saying on Lake Norman, for example, the spring bite didn't really come into full effect until like literally less than a week ago, just a few days ago.
Well, I mean,
I just went last night. I
here's the
caught
thing.
14. I went 2 weeks ago and got a skunk, and there was no bait on the lights, nothing. It was a dead land.
Do you consider your light bite a spring bite?
I do base a lot of the spring bite knowledge on what those lights are doing at night in the spring. Yes.
All right. Contrary to your belief, they're not catching fish in the river, so that kind of destroys your hypothesis.
My hypothesis, Pete, didn't start really till last night. Last night is the first night that I've been there and actually witnessed and actually caught fish and actually witnessed an unbroken band of alewives circling the lights and giant pods of small, either threadfin or alewives on
does that make
shallow
you
water
think
lights.
that? So I don't know how far your
From
light
my
is.
experience, when that happens, when you go and you get that unbroken band of big, 8-inch alewives on the lights at night, usually, from my experience, anecdotally, those hybrids are upriver. So I think that in the last couple of days, I believe you could go up there in the morning and limit out pretty quickly, especially if they're running water. But I think they're up there now.
I got a question. Your hybrid don't run up the river in April normally?
Usually,
yes.
it just depends. It depends. This year, man, I'm telling you.
I mean, on a typical year, April is the month.
Late
to be up there.
March, roughly. Late
I'm
March.
gonna put it to you this way, guys. When I go to at night on my dock lights in spring, if the alewives aren't circling, guess what? The hybrids aren't upriver. It's been that way, and it can't just be a coincidence. It's been that way every single year since they've started stocking hybrids in the lake.
I mean, we got a community hole at Hartwell in April. It's Kiwi River. It comes out of Kiwi Lake Dam.
Mm-hmm.
And every April is fire up there. You'll see everybody turns into a guide. I mean, and this year there was some up there, but I don't think they were up there like thick like they used to be, And I don't think they're not there. It's just we had a really cold April. I think water temperature has a little bit, moon phase. I think everything has a combination.
So I've fished Norman for God knows how long, since the late 90s, and I have put patterns together where, rainy springs, not rainy springs. I'm telling you right now, these fish did not go heavy in the river this year. They probably come and gone already, and they did not go in the river. They went into some creeks. And I can back that up with fish catches by some of my friends.
Now, if you have too much rain, is it the same thing? Pushes them out?
You know what? I think too much rain actually kind of makes them run the river a little more. Mud will kind of they'll run the river and feed in the mud, but not a lot of folks are able to catch them very well because obviously it's muddy. And I kind of like that because it's less fish being killed. You know what I mean? Everyone becomes a pro on Lake Norman in April. everyone.
Nice too.
But
I
like,
mean,
everyone
I'm not a
struggles.
pro. I like to try to educate, but I do like to try to educate myself. And my theory at the moment is,
And so let me reiterate. That was not a jab at you. I'm saying, you can go in that river and you will see fucking 40, 50, 60 boats, and everyone is catching fish. You get 5 guys in a boat and they're all limiting out, all of them.
I mean, we got like 17 or 18 new guides every spring on Hartwell, and then by July they're not guides anymore.
Yeah.
that's the thing about fishing is it's different year to year. That's why keeping notes is only going to help you so much. And I think that this year, I realize it's the middle of May, but I think those hybrids are upriver now.
I'm gonna tell you what, if you want to talk hybrid fishing and river fishing, you need to get Lee Huffman on here.
I've fished with Lee Huffman up there. I've been up there a dozen times while Lee was up there. We fish up there a lot together over the past several years. And Lee does something I don't do. I fish one way up there, one way only. And I anchor up with fresh alewives that I've caught myself, and I cut bait, and that's all I do. I limit out very, very quickly. Lee likes to troll, and he uses a lot of like basically Tennessee techniques. He surf trolls. He trolls with the current. He goes pretty fast, and usually with his clients, he's got boards out and free lines, and he does all that jazz. I'm anchoring up. I'm fan casting, and I'm limited out pretty quick. And it's very, very, very simple. As long as you have alewives is the ticket. Alewives going to outproduce anything else. If you go catch your own alewives out there at night on a dock light, and you go upriver and you be up there at daylight, and they happen to be running water, you'll be limited out. If you got 3 or 4 people with you, you'll be limited out by 8 o'clock in the morning.
Oh yeah, I believe it. Like I said, I don't really like fishing that river much because of all the boat traffic and
that's the thing that usually I'm usually the first guy up there in the spring. Last year I was the first guy up there. The year before that I was the first guy up there. I like to get up there before everybody. Every time I ever go up there, I'm the only boat. I bet I could go up there in the morning. I would probably be the only boat up there. Well, no, I don't go until I know they're up there. I don't go until those alewives are on the dock lights. Once those alewives are on the dock lights at night upriver, then I go. And it's usually I'm the first one up there. No one else is up there, and I'm killing them. But this year, everything's late. Everybody's been up there. They've been hammering it, and they haven't been doing good because they haven't run up there yet.
Because they went somewhere else. I'll tell you off camera where to go, but it's probably too late now. But I'm telling you, the 3 locals, there are 3 or 4 locals that know about it. They've been killing them for a solid month, and big fish too.
Read us some comments, JR. Nobody
okay, David Farley says it's when temps are staying in the 60s at nighttime, and it's just now getting there, and the alewives are still spotty. They're just now starting to get right. Fish are already in the spawn areas, but they're tough until alewives start coming up at 9 and staying up until 2 a.m. Just now starting to do that. I agree, David. I agree. I mean, most people would disagree with you because it's so late in the spring, because everybody is basing their knowledge and actions off of their past experiences. But this year is sort of an anomaly, especially compared to the last several. And I think that you're spot on. I think that the spring bite, as far as the striped fish go, are just now getting fired up. It's peak time right now. Right now it's time to take off and go.
Since hybrids are sterile, and do they spawn? Do they false spawn?
They do false spawn, but they act a little differently than stripers.
Or are they going up there because the bait's up there?
Well, you know what? You got a good point. I think that that may be more of the case. And I think a biologist would probably disagree with me and you on this, but from my experience, you're not catching like back when Lake Norman had the stripers. You used to go upriver and you would hear bait. You would hear bait busting, and you would hear stripers busting on the bait. And what was happening was you would get 6 or 8 male stripers surrounding a female, and they would be knocking her around with their tails, knocking the eggs out of her, and then releasing the sperm. And when you throw a redfin out there, you get them around that mating session they were doing, and they wouldn't, a lot of times they wouldn't go at it with their mouth. They would tail slap it, they would hit it. They just, you were basically getting on their nerves. They're out there trying to bound chicka wow wow. And
I mean, I've never known, I've never known that hybrid spawn, like false spawn.
They do go
'Cause I
up
know-
river, and I think a lot of people are assuming that they're
Because I know like stripers during their pre-spawn, the big females move up first, almost always. And you'll be up in an area where you're fishing for the big female stripers and there'll be zero bait. I mean, it'll be a ghost town up there.
yes. I think that the stripers, they're going up. They can sense that it's time to go upriver and it's time to spawn. The hybrids, I think you're spot on. I think they're following the alewives because I haven't seen a hybrid one up there until the big alewives show up at post spawn. The alewives are just now spawning and now they're in post spawn. Once the alewives are in post spawn, that's when they start circling the lights.
So
That's when you see the hybrids.
Let me
I'm
ask you this.
curious.
Ask this real quick. So what makes the alewives go up the river?
The same reason that the striper and hybrids do. They act. An alewife is a carnivorous bait fish, and they act a lot. They're a saltwater species. They act a lot like
drives
stripers
them up that river?
because they're an anadromous species. They're just like a pigeon or anything else. They're geared to go upriver and spawn when it
Keep
comes.
it simple. What drives the alewives up the river?
Water temp.
Water flow.
That's as simple as
Water
it gets.
Water flow.
Well, it's a combination, but I think it's primarily water temp.
But don't herring and
Because there's
alewives
water flow in February, Pete. There's water flow in
they-
There
January.
is so
They don't-
temperature and water flow, yes, but they're not going to keep on going up that river unless the water is flowing and they swim up that current.
Don't they spawn in on just flat points anywhere? They don't really run up river to spawn. Bait fish don't.
The bait fish do.
Mm-mm.
Yes. Maybe
Alewives
not,
do, yes.
maybe not to the level of a striper or a hybrid, but they do go upriver and they go
Have you
up
not
into
seen them
backs
up
of
on the
creek.
bank spawning mid lake all the
That's
time?
I'm talking about carnivorous bait fish like a herring and the herring.
Yeah,
family.
that's what I'm talking
I'm
about.
not talking about
You've
shad.
never seen them? You've never
Shad
seen them?
don't. Shad will spawn on the banks.
No, I mean you've never seen herring spawn mid lake in the flats.
They do.
Like
Depending
big
on
groups
the,
of
I
them.
think it depends a lot on the cover. It depends on what type of cover is there. If there's riprap there, you'll see that.
I'm not sure why the bait go up. I think it's temperature and flow. I don't think it's spawning. I don't think the bait run up the river to spawn. I mean, I'm sure some do, but I don't think. I mean, I've seen so many schools of herring spawning on cut throughs, mid lake, up on banks, like
Well,
fish
that's
chasing
the
them.
thing is, I think that their initial spawn is they're going upriver in the backs of creeks. They're acting pretty much identical to hybrids and stripers, but the difference is they spawn multiple times, and I think a lot of the times that you're talking about are after that initial spawn. They're spawning, but they spawn multiple times.
I mean, if you ever like, we were anchored one time and seen, jeez, I mean, millions and millions of them just coming. Like you could reach down with a dip net and dip them up. They were just circling the boat, going up down the bank.
Where were you?
Hartwell,
Where at?
mouth of Conross Creek.
Conross, is that Upper Lake?
That's mid river on the Savannah.
Okay, so
Hey, that
makes
creek
sense.
I
That's
fucking
upriver.
know.
Yeah, where that island is out in the middle, and they call it the saddle, where between the island and the main Savannah River, like they've been in there just big, just spawning. And our bait shops will tell you when they're spawning too, because like the bait shop will only have these little bitty herring, because all the big bait that's spawning out is going to be up on the bank. So they're catching these deep water bait, which are a little fascinating.
What's up, Shane?
That seems sarcastic.
That-
Oh, Snickers, Snickers,
that's my
482.
That's my cousin Shane. That is who I started when I became a hardcore fisherman. It was him and I. We both started at the same time.
Dang,
I
that
thought I was
picture
with
from
them.
90. Is that picture from 98 or 99?
That picture's probably from 2010.
Update your profile, Snickers.
I was probably with him on that trip. You see what boat that is, don't you?
Oh yeah.
That's
Back in the day when the troll
that's
went
the
to work.
trophy. That's the trophy. Yeah, I was with him when I caught my very first striper. It was
So read some more, Kate. Do we have any
25 inches.
questions in the comments?
Not
Let's see.
really.
Herring were spawning at White City Park weekend after Easter. Benji Smith says.
I'm gonna tell you what. So fishing Cherokee actually taught me a little more about striper in general than any other lake. Honestly, it's definitely. I threw all rules away fishing Cherokee. Was it 2 weeks back, 3 weeks back? You would think they'd be in the river, like we're talking about in the river, but they were nowhere near the river.
I told you not to go to the river.
I think you did tell me to go way up that motherfucker.
No, I didn't.
I did the exact opposite. Yeah.
I have a theory on that. Look at any lake on the Catawba chain, Yadkin chain, even the Savannah chain, and you got a lot of red mud, you got a lot of riprap, you got a lot of like mussel beds, you got a lot of stuff like that. On Cherokee, your predominant like soil type is like that white looking like limestone, whatever that is up there. You know what I'm talking about. If you look at it on Google Maps,
yeah,
the shoreline, everything looks white. And I think that
they didn't go up the river because there wasn't no flow, JR. They're supposed to be up the river.
Okay. I agree. But do they go like the top half portion of the lake? Will they actually spawn there and up the creek?
Exactly.
Instead of going up
they'll
the river?
Spawn at the bottom.
I didn't really get a chance to talk about Cherokee since I wasn't here the week after with post tournament and everything. But the pattern that we found was some of our bigger fish that we caught were off of these main lake humps. I mean, every time we trolled, I like to keep my boats during that tournament between 25 and 35 foot. And that's where we caught most of our fish with the board swinging out right along the humps.
Humps are always the best.
Yep.
Better than a point.
Yep. Those lake, that lake there, for example, a lot of these points, like very steep points. Like, it went from nothing to like 50, 60, 80 foot. And those points didn't really produce much. I'll say this, though. I don't see that. Oh, little video.
Oh, yeah. There's a flounder.
Damn.
You see how they're sideways? That's the way those hybrids do.
That's a damn crappie. I'm
sorry.
sorry.
Look at that.
I seen a 30-something pounder was caught on the lower end that same day.
Yeah, I don't fish that lake much, so I'll tell you exactly where I fished at. I fished right, German Creek. You know where that's at?
I don't know anything. I know is that right before it turns into the river where them islands were?
Yeah, it's kind of sort of right there in that cluster of islands. So basically right before the cluster of islands, that's where we caught most of our fish at, right in there. Now I'll say this, that pre-fishing, I did find a big ass fucking boulder in 60 foot of water that came up to about 20 foot. It was just a flat out boulder. And there were fish all around this dang thing. And every time I trolled by it, we caught a party fish, 22, 24, 25 incher. So I had that in my back pocket. And sure enough, the first, the morning of the tournament, went by there first thing in the morning, boom, boom, got our two fish that we wanted first off, and then.
Well, if you'd have dropped some live bait on them, you'd have smacked them in the head.
Probably would have, but it's weird because, I caught all those on a downrigger. And as I came right through, you bump that boulder. And I'd literally pop the downrigger to hold that rod in my hand. And every fucking time I'd get a bite with the rod in my hand.
Well, when that weight hit the rock, it would pop the downrigger?
So when the weight would hit the rock, you would know that, you'd see the downrigger kind of flex, So I'd pop it so I wouldn't get snagged. And I'd hold it in my hand. And every time, that happened 3 straight times, I'd hold the rod in my hand and boom, fish on.
So they were holding right on that rock, right on the edge.
Big time. And like I said, the day before the tournament, I made 2 passes and caught 3 fish off that thing. And tournament morning, first pass we made was there just to get 2 fish right away, And sure as shit, we got one, came by, got a second one, and then
looks like you caught some nice fat fish pre-fishing.
They're pretty good, yeah.
Healthy.
Pretty good.
What's better, Wes? Whatever. Are you in Tennessee or South Carolina? Because
let's see. David said, cold is rough on striper in a river, but cold and rain, they will haul ass back down to the first deep holes and mouth of the rivers. Yes.
Yeah, when our stripers are, I call them in skinny water, way back in the rivers in the early spring. If you get a ton of rain, you can forget about that skinny water. But if you, like you say, if you can get back and find them wherever they came out of that river and staged it, they don't like that tons of fresh water flowing in. Not days after. I mean, it takes 4 or 5 days before they get back to going up skinny like that.
Wes, trying to get you in here, but it's
He couldn't stand it.
he couldn't stand it.
Wes, we only got 10 minutes. You better get that T-Mobile hooked up.
God damn.
Hey, there he is. There he is.
There's that arm flex, boy. Yes, sir.
Hey, listen, I done asked in the comments like 10 times and nobody's answering my
I
question.
can't read the comments.
What's better across the board between, I know they're kind of the same between alewives and blueback herring. What's the best bait? Which one?
They're exactly the same. It don't matter. It depends what state they're legal in.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you can't hold them like this and not tell the difference, huh?
I mean, I have a hard time telling the difference. I have to really like look to even distinguish thread fin from an alewife or a herring.
Oh, Jesus, JR. Get
I mean,
what, are you serious?
They all look so similar. Like one,
No, they do not.
the little
They look
black
nothing.
spot right there is like bigger on one of them, and like
They're totally shaped different.
they're one's got a little more of a
Thread
football
fin's
shape
got a
to
little
it,
yellow fin. What?
and then you have to like pull their mouth open and like see if they have an underbite or not. Like it's.
Pete, you hear this?
I hear
A
that.
thread fin and a hand.
I'm talking about when they're swimming in the water, Scott.
Oh, I thought you pulled them out. No, when they're swimming in the water? Hell no.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you.
Like when they're circling a light.
Can you tell the difference between a flounder and a hybrid when they're circling in the lake?
No.
Exactly.
They do. They turn sideways. I wonder why they do that. Stripers don't do. No other fish does that I know of, other than a hybrid.
Hey, when first time I went to Yankeetown with Shane, I had never caught a flounder before. Never seen one. I've eaten a lot of them. So we caught these flounder, and Shane caught two, and he just put them in the fish box. I didn't really look that close at them. But when we got back to his place, we were cleaning them. I was sharpening the knife, and I went and grabbed that fish, and I went to fillet it, and I turned it over, and that son of a bitch had two eyes on one side of his head. I said, "Oh shit!" So I threw the fish down. I wiped my hands off with some bleach, and I kicked the fish off in the floor. Started bleaching the table down. Shane came in there and said, "What the hell are you doing?" I said, "Dude, we just got some kind of fucked up fish." I said, "This thing got two eyes on the side of his head, and then ain't got nothing on the other side." I said, "What is this?" And Shane said, "I think it's a flounder." So anyway, the moral of that story is we had one flounder and Shane ate it. So I learned.
You know what's funny about a flounder is when they're born, they look like a normal fish. Their eyes are on both sides of their head, and then as they get older, it shifts. John Longus said channel stripers.
That's right.
I don't necessarily know if I agree with that, David. You said earlier that the shad are the ones that run up the rivers to spawn. No, it's the herring that do that. He said, I think it's similar to the biggest change in a lot of these places. Stripe aren't running up the rivers like back in the day. They will stay deep feeding on the blue. They do stay deep feeding on blueback herring, but you're talking about in the summertime and the wintertime, whenever the bluebacks are deep. In the springtime, the bluebacks are running up the rivers and they're not deep, and the stripers and hybrids are going upriver to spawn, and they're feeding on them.
I don't think all this they don't do it like they used to. Crap is. I think these fish are always been.
Well, I think what happens is, 50 years ago, Grandpa Joe had a good year, and then every year since, he's like, they don't do it like they used to, and it changes every single year. It's different. Something is different.
Yeah.
I heard you hired somebody to clean your damn fish. I thought you were a striper. I mean, offshore fisherman.
Oh shit!
Do you not know Wes?
Oh,
Wes ain't got nothing to prove. He don't feel like cleaning no damn fish.
Listen, I just didn't watch paint dry, so I had clean fish.
It's like I asked Wes one time. I was like, Wes, let's
How
go
did you-
camp.
hold on. How did
We
you
don't need to
hear
get a
about
room.
that all the way from Little River? Oh, hell, he's been talking to Keith, ain't he?
I have
I
no
know.
idea. I ain't talked to Keith in about a week and a half.
He said, JR, when I was poor white trash like you, I camped, but now I can afford the Holiday Inn Express. So I'm done with that. Same way with cleaning fish. He can clean them if he wanted to. Why?
Hey,
listen.
JR, you're not West. Damn, West, don't let JR stick up for you like he's your daddy. Look at him.
Hey.
He's ready for an offshore trip. Jeez.
Hey, when I come in, hey,
Benji
like that
Smith, I
last
will stick
Saturday-
with my red fins any day of the week. I'd rather catch a striper on a red fin than anything else. I would take a 20-pound striper on a red fin than a 50 on a piece of fucking live bait.
Why?
Man, listen, when you come in, when I've been offshore fishing out there 70, 75 miles out, 75 miles back, about 40 miles worth of trolling, the last thing I want to do is clean a damn fish.
Well, hell, you had the horse jockey doing all the work for you.
Shit, I know, right? Fuck.
Nah, Shay, hey, listen, Shay, they work me like a rented
Oh,
mule.
I just caught up
I love
on
it.
that.
I love it.
They work me like a rented mule.
I mean, after all, I think Wes had like 3 women on the boat, right?
Did Shane clean all the fish for you, Wes?
I cleaned my grouper. All I wanted was a grouper and a snapper. And I cleaned what I was going
Shane
to
should have cleaned all of
them.
them. I mean, Trump would be disappointed in him.
Huh?
Damn. God damn.
I
Hey,
said
Pete,
Trump
I
would be
missed the mahi by about 200 feet. I went out to about 300 feet of water,
Uh-huh.
and they were holding about 500 was where the big tent break was. So
Yeah. That's how she goes.
Man, you can go to Hatteras right now and you'll catch
I
nothing
am
but
fucking
bulls.
itching, man. This year ain't working out for me at all. As far
Nothing but
as timing.
bulls. All bulls, baby. Nothing but bulls. All like, you know how you catch all these chicken dolphin, man? It'd be like that, but it'd be all bulls.
You know, old Pete and West talk about they work one day a week and talk about the weather ain't working out right.
What I don't understand about Pete and Wes is they keep their boats down at Little River, South Carolina, in the Grand Strand. When we got the epic, the
boat don't stay in
mecca,
the Little River. I
we
know
have
better.
the mecca of offshore fishing right now, up in the Outer Banks, duck off the shore of Cape Hatteras.
Well, the hell, that's 10 hours away.
But they choose to go down the Little River. I'll never understand it.
3
10
hours.
hours, 3 hours.
JR, out there on that ledge, right now you can catch marlin, you can catch yellowfin, you can catch bluefin, you can catch wahoo, you can catch just about any bottom fish, any pelagic fish that lives is out there on that ledge right now.
Right now is the time for us to all go out there on Wes's boat and stay the night.
Why's it gotta be Wes's boat?
Because I've got a place he can go to sleep.
He's got
Why do we got to
Cuddy,
stay the night?
because could you imagine catching what you would? Could you imagine going out there putting out that hydroglow or that sodium light at night out there on the friggin' ledge in the blue water?
Sounds like the beginning of a Netflix documentary to me.
Absolutely, it would be absolutely epic. It would.
I
be,
bet it would be
Excuse me,
pretty
sir.
cool.
What are those
Oh my
cinder
God.
blocks doing on the boat?
It would be the greatest thing ever.
What's wrong with you, Wes? You go to the doctor?
Well, I went down to MD 360, and listen. About 5 or 6 years ago, we were at Santee Cooper, and we come home, and I got a cough, and it wasn't from smoking; it was just a cough. I mean, just a bad cough. And I coughed like for 3 days. So I finally went down to MD 360, and they wrote me a prescription for protazazine or some shit that had codeine in it. Well, I took about 2 swigs of that shit, and it cured my cough. I mean, it stopped me from coughing. That's one of the few things in my life I've ever took that stopped. It was over. So I went down there today, and I went there and asked that nurse. I said, "Listen," and I screenshot a picture. I took a screenshot of that stuff. So, well, you know, my wife works in the pharmacy. She knows how to pronounce it. So she found it for me. And I screenshot. I said, "Listen, go back there and tell that doctor I'll come back there and see him if he'll write me a prescription for this."
Oh,
And she looked at it. She said, "I don't know if they'll write a prescription for that." I said, "Well, hell, I ain't going to pay y'all $250 for her to tell me no. You go back there and ask them." So she said, I'll go back there and see what they say. So that nurse practitioner went back there. She came back out. She said, they quit writing prescriptions for that in 2018 or 2019. She said it was probably one of the most abused drugs with codeine in it. She said it was worse than the Lortabs. So I can't get it no more. So I got home and I took about 5 or 6 swigs of Delsum, but I didn't know you was only supposed to take it every 6 hours. I took like half the bottle when I got home, and it just kind of fucked me up right there. I still don't feel right. I mean, so
you never seen the doctor?
no.
And you wonder why they stopped prescribing that to people. Like, you can't even take over the counter medication. You think
No,
give you
well,
some
Delsum,
codeine?
Read the directions, man. Shit.
It's got well, man, listen, I just want to quit coughing. I've been coughing for 3 fucking days. You know, and hell, I'd take a swig of it and wait a few minutes and I'd cough. Took another swig of it, waited a few minutes. I kept coughing until I got down about half the bottle, and then I finally quit coughing. I just realized it's going to make me sick as shit. So,
well, hopefully you get better. So, got to change the subject here real quick because I saw John commenting on it earlier. Y'all, I broke down and fucking bought lithium batteries and the whole live scope thing and everything.
Wow.
you did get live scope.
Wow. Hey,
And
Pete, let's go up there to my light. Let's go up there to my light and look.
Let's
look
do
at
it.
those
No,
fish
so
on live
it
scope.
hasn't come in yet, but also,
Another 15 years of guide and you'll have that paid off.
I know, right? Exactly. So actually, I paid it all with guide money. How about that? But I've actually been talking to and arranging a time, and JC is going to be doing my boat as far as all the electrical work there. So, yep.
So, JC Crowder?
Yes, sir.
Oh, the
Yeah, he's
chain,
good.
the chain gang technician. I like
Yep.
it.
Gotta keep it to the chain gang. That's right. So I don't mind towing that boat a long ways if it's done right, you know, and I know you do right.
Yeah, if he can wire up an airplane, surely he can do live scope.
Exactly.
Hey, you should joke. You
No,
should
I don't
make a
mean the
joke.
live scope. I'm talking about the whole entire boat. I'm having it stripped and rewired, all of it.
You should make a joke after he does it. You should like make a post saying that you sold it, like Wes did after he came over.
Shit.
But that wasn't a joke with Wes, though. He really did.
Scott Perry was over here, and he listened. Scott did help me out a lot. It was hot as shit that day. We were out there working. I said, "Buddy, you want some ice water?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Come on in the house. I'll fix you a glass of ice water." So I'll go in the refrigerator and get some ice trays and crack some ice. And he said, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I said, "I'm fixing you some water." He said, "Dude, who the fuck still uses ice trays?" I said, "Hell, I do." There wasn't nothing wrong with my refrigerator.
Then he went and got an ice maker after that.
Yeah, then it took a shit, so I went and got an ice maker.
I mean, he's cracking cherries in my cup.
Like it's 1989.
John, to answer your question, I'm still deciphering what I want to do, but I'm leaning more so towards putting it on a stick. The whole purpose of my live scope is to do these crappy tournaments. Anything else is a bonus.
Let's go to Norman, Pete.
Let's go.
Let's go have a night tournament.
Hey, I'm game for that. I hadn't been in years, and I'll still beat your ass.
Let's go. How much money are we putting on it?
Bourbon. How's that?
As long as we've been doing this fishing show, close to 2 years now, I guess, we always say, "Hey, let's go do this. Let's get together. Let's go do that. Hey, let's make it happen." And ain't nobody did shit.
It's because y'all all too old.
Hey, buddy, I go fishing. Hey, when the ocean lets me fish.
But nothing's good enough for you. You got to go offshore and catch freaking wahoo to be happy. Like, I'm happy going out and catching like big catfish and hybrids.
I'm happy. Look, me and you went up in the Chili River.
It takes a 60-pound amberjack or a 50-pound wahoo or a yellow snapper. It takes all that crap to make you happy now.
Well, what do you think I bought that little tracker grizzly for?
Well, let's go. Come on. This weekend, Saturday night, Lake Norman tournament, bourbon, Saturday night. Let's get it on. Let's rock. Let's do it.
Hey, listen, I'm not trying to make an excuse, but our grandkid's dad, Greg, him and his wife, she got pregnant and they went to the doctor today and the baby didn't have a heartbeat. So she lost the baby. So we're going to get the kids this weekend. So I'm out on fishing this weekend. But
Sorry to hear that.
thank you. But I mean, yeah, I would like to do that. I mean, I was going to go when I come up there to pick the boat up, but I didn't know it was going to take them that long to do the paperwork. I thought I was going to go up there, buy the boat, and leave. Then they told me I was going to have to come back the next day. So,
Why has it got to be a weekend? Why can't we say let's do it on a fucking Monday or something?
It's hard to go to Lake Norman, especially for someone like Scott or Wes. If they're going to go through the trouble of going fishing, somewhere far like that. I mean, I'm sure they'd rather go to Russell.
Well, I mean, JR, there again, it ain't about just catching a big fish. Hell, I just like to come up there and fish Norman. I've never fished it before.
Tell Scott Perry that.
Yeah. And I like to catch hybrid. I mean, hell, that's why. Main reason I bought that little boat was to crappie fish and take my grandson and try to get him into fishing. But I still like you. Listen, that little river me and you went up in about a month and a half ago. Yeah. I enjoyed the shit out of that. I mean, I still hadn't seen the video yet that you claimed was going to be out in 2 or 3 days.
Shit, I ain't still seen the damn video. It's been about a fucking year from our Mahi trip, but
But I enjoyed that. I mean, it's.
I thought I posted a video of our Mahi trip.
Fuck no.
I mean, you guys, listen, here's what they do, Scott. You go out, they have absolutely zero interest in making a video. None whatsoever. So I half-ass it. I get a little footage.
No, wait a minute.
And then they're like, hey, man, when are you going to be done with that video? I'm like, what video? Like,
who is they?
I didn't get no footage. Like, what are you guys expecting here?
Who is they? I know we're going out to make videos. I want to make the videos. I just can't get you to edit them no more.
Yeah, right. Just this one video, Wes, is the only one I haven't edited yet. I'm going to edit it. I promise I'm going to edit it. But I'm just saying it's not going to be like this comprehensive video that you think it is. There's not going to be much to it at all.
Well, listen, I would like to go hybrid fishing. I'd come up there and go hybrid fishing.
Well, hopefully the bite will be still, I don't know if it's how much longer it's going to last. I mean, usually it's a small window. It's on right now. It's time to rock.
Now our hybrid, Scott, you can attest to this, and I don't know why they do it, but I have actually been up in the Kiwi River catching the shit out of fish, and they'd blow that horn, and when that current come down, that stop. I don't know why, and it's been multiple times.
This is we're 15 miles from any. The closest dam's like 15 miles away. Like
no, but I know y'all talking about current though. Those hybrid don't like current in the Kiwi River.
This is pure reservoir, stillwater, sweetwater, stillwater fishing.
Hey JR, let's go fishing Saturday, and I'm gonna make a YouTube video and fucking post that shit and blow your spot up.
That's fine. I don't care. I've gotten almost 20 years out of it, so I mean I'm kind of.
I've never made a YouTube video. So.
The light that I'm talking about that's got all the hybrids on it right now is
Wes, you got a bad echo on your dang end.
Yeah. I might have
so how about now? Well, I'm on my phone. I didn't feel like going to the computer. I'm just sitting here in a chair with my dog.
It's the light that I show everyone anyways. Now, unfortunately, my best lights are no more. I don't know what's going on with them, but they're not turning them on anymore. They had them on every single night for years and years and years, and then people get divorces, and they sell their house, and I don't know, things change. John Longus seems to think he knows where my light is. He said, "I'll meet you at that light on Saturday night." He must know where I'm talking about.
That's a fancy moment. John's got a fancy profile picture. He must have hired somebody.
Hey, did y'all ever see? I think I posted on Facebook. Did y'all see the dang picture of his dang socks on tournament day?
I
posted on my Facebook.
I seen him with his wife's picture.
Yeah, his socks had a picture of his wife on there.
I've been kind of low key on Facebook lately. I had a friend of mine come up to me. I don't know, a week or so ago, and he was like, bro, he said, listen, he said, I gotta put you in check. And I'm like, what's up? He's like, man, the Facebook, the controversial topics and all the crap that you post on Facebook, you need to cut that shit out, bro. And I'm like, why? He was like, well, people just don't want to see that. And I'm like, all right. All right, fine. I'll slack off. So I've slacked off on Facebook.
I don't want to say the controversial stuff, but people don't want to see goddamn wet fucking dish rag being skied across the top of the water.
Now you about full of shit.
Shit.
Just because you can't catch one, because you ain't gonna catch no trophy catfish on no fucking Alabama rig. I'll tell you that right now.
Motherfucker, I caught damn one catfish on 2 A rigs at the same fucking time.
Yeah, catfish.
Fucking
I'm
piece of
talking about
shit.
trophy. Yeah, catch you a 50 plus on an A rig. Do that. You'll be in the Guinness Book of World Records.
I fucking have actually.
You'll be on Ripley's Believe It or Not.
I have.
No, you
I
have
fucking,
not.
I fucking caught a dang 50-pounder on a goddamn lead downrigger ball by itself. How about that?
How about your lying through your teeth?
I am fucking not. I swear to God.
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah. Fucking stupid piece of shit.
Shit. Lying ass.
No, it's true. On Baden Lake, I've caught one about 50-ish pounds. The fucker ate the downrigger ball, and I cranked it up. I fucking cranked up all the way. And his ass was fucking, his mouth was stuck on that goddamn downrigger ball, thrashing everywhere. And I could have netted his ass if I wanted to, but eventually he let go.
Yeah, he was like 17 pounds. He was not no 50 plus. No, I promise you he wasn't 50 plus.
I promise you he was every bit. He was as big as a fucking Volkswagen, son.
Hey, JR.
Yes, sir.
While we're live, can you say anything about anybody without getting in trouble on a live video?
I guess it just all depends on what it is you're wanting to say.
I might better tell you in person.
Would it be considered bullying or
No. Might be considered bashing.
that's bullying?
So JR, you quit posting on Facebook because one of your friends said not to post controversial stuff.
Well, you know, they were like, I can't remember the exact word.
You know what I would? No, I would have posted after that.
That small. I was like, yeah, maybe you're right.
I would have loaded my timeline.
I'd have blocked his ass. That's right.
Let's see, Philip Callahan. Any of y'all ever tried for hybrids on Mountain Island Lake at the dam of Lake Norman? No, but I've heard a lot about it. I have fished Mountain Island several times, but I've never actually been up to the dam. That would be an actual. I've heard it was pretty treacherous.
I'll answer that question. So I used to fish there June. I'd say late May, June, and July was pretty good in Mountain Island Lake until they stopped stocking it.
That's got to be wild up there. You got one of the smallest lakes on the Catawba chain. You know,
Really
you're going
not
up.
that bad.
You're
It's
going
not
up
that
behind the Cowans Ford Dam, which is the dam of the largest lake on the Catawba chain. It's got to be.
It's
weird.
not that bad. You got to navigate one little small stretch, but it's really not that bad. So they used to be we'll call it a community hole overall, but the fact that they built a ramp there near the, can you mute Wes real quick?
Yeah.
Hey, I got a question.
Okay. Oh hell.
Go ahead, Pete.
Anyways, so I used to fish there all the time, you know, along with several other guides, and they stopped stocking striper there. However, we did catch hybrids there from time to time, and they're pretty good ones. So they do slip through somehow. It would not surprise me if they do catch hybrids in Mountain Island Lake because they somehow sneak through. The fact that they built that ramp there at the bridge has destroyed the fishing there because of jet skiers being able to go up and down there now, no problem. You know, used to be where I think Neck Road was the nearest ramp there, and what was it, 17, 18 miles to get from there all the way to the dam, which is awesome because no one would go there really, and that's a fisherman. So, you know, I like the piece way back when, but I think the last time I was there was, God, it's been over 10 years, honestly. 10, maybe even 12 years.
All right, guys. Well, it's been a good show.
Party pooper.
Wes, you have anything to add before we call it a night? By the way, you can't do this on your phone anymore. Your audio is absolutely nightmarish.
Really?
Yes, it's terrible.
Well, I got a question.
What you got?
Kind of getting off the subject. What's y'all's favorite Girl Scout cookie?
Thin Mints, baby.
Let's see. They got a new one. They got a new one that has toffee. I'd have to say that's probably my favorite now. But before that, it was the
Oh, you can't go wrong with the coconut one.
caramel delights.
I like the peanut butter.
Thin
No.
mints for the win, baby.
We all like something completely different. Go figure.
Did you know Girl Scout cookies are the second highest grossing item sold in America besides insurance?
Wow, I like that.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Every time I like go to Walmart and they're there set up, I feel like I'm getting fucking robbed.
Hell, they sell them at the Dollar General. It's the same damn cookie.
Is it really? I don't know.
Hey, it's a Clover. It's a bougie Clover Valley cookie.
Clover Valley, he knows the brand.
Hey, I love some Dollar General. I ain't gonna lie. If you don't live within 2 or 3 miles of a Dollar General, I don't care where you're at in America. If you don't have a Dollar General within 2 or 3 miles of you, you're in the fucking sticks for real.
You are correct, David. Controversial is now and the future. If you're not controversial, you don't get recognized. I think that is the case most of the time. I had a friend once tell me, controversy is the yellow brick road.
I like controversy. Damn, David's got a nice profile. I'm gonna have to get a professional photographer to take my profile picture. This is getting out of hand.
I feel like you had one when you took a picture of your lawn with your fucking white ass feet. I don't know.
Oh, you like that?
No, not really.
Wow.
Well,
It looks
okay,
so
I know you
synthetic.
got to look
Hey,
better.
It looks like
I
AstroTurf.
was kind of expecting fucking polka dots, like where you wearing Crocs or something, you know. But
Hell no.
Yeah, well, just like James Long said, man, you hit the easy button. You do your lawn like you do your fish.
well, hey, let's start some controversy. Last night, Dar Sizzle, that lady, that little skinny ass blonde headed lady,
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
fish.
yeah.
But anyway,
I put a picture on that brag board thing, and I accidentally, because in my pictures on my phone, I've got a files just for big fish. And I meant to put the amberjack, and it's right beside a striped bass that I caught in Chesapeake Bay. Well, and I accidentally posted it, and I didn't realize that I posted the wrong picture. So she comes back with a comment that says, "What part of recent fish don't you understand, or you've had slow?" She said, "You caught this fish in January." I said, "No, I'm not slow, you little anorexic bitch. You need to quit." I said, "You should quit sticking your goddamn finger down your throat, making yourself fucking puke so you can wear baby-sized clothes."
hey, let me tell you a true story about Dar Sizzle, by the
But
way.
hold on, let me finish. So anyway, I said, so I went on to say, "Fuck you," and put pudding too. I think that's what she calls her boyfriend, pudding. I said, "I hope you goddamn boat sinks and both of you drown next time you go out fishing." So undoubtedly, she didn't report me. I'm not in Facebook jail. But I'm like, did she try to blast me on her page because I accidentally put up a different picture? And I'm like, "You little arrogant fucking bitch. First of all, you're ugly as shit.
Pudding.
Yeah, and you're sticking your goddamn finger down your throat. So you wear these little baby-sized clothes to try to look fucking skinny. And you don't even have nipples. You've got no chest. You don't even have fucking nipples. What's this titties? And you're gonna try to blast me on Facebook? You want to
Well, she picked the wrong one, did she?
And then,
She
of course,
picked the wrong fucking redneck to fool with, huh?
and of course, now I'm blocked.
Oh.
Go figure.
So I actually ran into Dar Sizzle and her crew fishing a pier in Florida. I want to say
Fuck her and her crew.
it was the Juno Pier, I think is what it was. While I was on
Juno
vacation
Beach, Florida.
long ago. And I actually witnessed someone hooking a snook and handing her the rod for her little moment of fame.
Yeah. Oh, they don't care. Like when they go out offshore, they don't even have an offshore boat. They've got a bay boat.
Well, down there, you don't need no offshore boat to go fucking 4 miles and catch tuna, honestly.
All you got to do is wear a thong on video and you'll get 10,000 14-year-olds to like your video.
That's right. So I got to tell you this. All right. So as you know, I travel a lot all around.
You're a world traveler.
I'm going to tell you, hands down, no questions asked. There is one city that stands out that's got the most smoking hot women out there. It's not
Spartanburg.
Fuck no.
No, hey, Mayo, South Carolina.
Mayo.
I'll say it's a city in Florida. I'll leave it at that.
Hialeah.
No.
Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, I know, South Beach. Really?
No.
Daytona.
Fort Lauderdale.
Clearwater.
Clearwater.
Tampa, boys. Tampa is where it's at.
Clearwater, Tampa, same thing.
Hey,
Clearwater,
I
Tampa,
guarantee you,
Sarasota, that whole area there.
we got
No
we
doubt.
got
No
as
doubt
many
about it.
pretty women in Powderfield, South Carolina, as they got in Tampa, Florida.
Have you went to Siesta Key, Pete?
Siesta, I don't think I have now.
It's south of Tampa. It's a cool little place.
So so Perry, I have vacationed once, and I will go there again at some point. I might even own a property there someday. I want to say it's near there. It's called Anna Maria Island.
Oh yeah.
Fucking loved it. It was an awesome place. My kind of
But
place.
see, I've got it, Mecca. When I want to see a beautiful lady, I go in there right tonight. I'm gonna go in there and get to bed with my wife. I don't have to go to Tampa, Florida.
Heather loved all the shells there, but I hated them because every time I had to go take a piss, I had to walk across some damn shells.
Pete, hey Pete, all the places you've been, I know you've flown all over the world. What city did you like the best? What do you think was the prettiest as far as scenery, people?
I'm gonna say Tampa. Seriously, Tampa.
Tampa, Florida?
Yes, absolutely.
Really?
So I'm gonna say these people of Tampa absolutely seem like always happy. Like everyone's running on the dang beach and downtown area. You know,
Isn't there a high crime rate in Tampa?
No, not that I'm aware of.
I think that's probably Miami.
I know,
Hey,
mine.
Me and a buddy of mine, we were doing race statistics today. I don't know what got us off on this, because we were talking about. Actually, it started with Russia, and how many ethnic backgrounds are here, like, white people, black people, Latino people, Chinese people, blah blah blah, and something came up about Hialeah. Did you know? And Google said Hialeah is the whitest city in the world. There's like less than 1% of black people or any other ethnic background in Hialeah, Florida, other than it's like 99.99% white. And the Chinese, and it's a funny word in front of the Chinese. They're the highest ethnic group in the world. I think there's like 6 billion of them.
What you laughing at, Scott? Laughing at Wes?
I'm laughing at you biting the fuck out of your tongue right now.
Oh, well.
No, it wouldn't have. I mean, we were just doing race statistics, like, what part of the country, what, because we were talking. Actually, it got started about China.
What do you think about it, JR?
Lee, to answer your question from earlier, yeah, we're talking about Mountain Isle Lake.
I think we got good people on both sides. Good people on both sides.
That's right.
That's quote unquote.
So you said there's more chinks than anybody else?
I didn't say that.
Hey, I had a guy comment on my Bud Light video with the boat sinking, and he was like, "That wouldn't have happened if it's because you had a chink outboard." And I'm like, "It was an Evinrude, dude. Like the most American outboard ever made."
But it was cheap made.
Shush about Evinrudes. I know someone's struggling with one right now. Lee Hoffman. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, listen, when I first started buying boats, a buddy of mine told me, he said, "Wes, 2 things you got to remember when you buy a boat." He said, "Don't buy nothing with a fucking Johnson motor on it." Because he said most of these motors now are older than the technicians working on them. And he said, "Never buy a motor off of a bass boat, because I promise you it's wore the fuck out. Because they drive 9 times more than they fish."
Yeah, that's right.
Well, what you got to do is, if you were to buy one from a bass fisherman, you need to figure out whether or not he's a power fisherman or a finesse fisherman. If he's a finesse fisherman,
let me ask you this serious question. And I was boat shopping some time ago, and I knew the answer right away. Would you rather buy a boat that is 3 years old with 50 hours, or would you rather buy a boat 3 years old with 400 hours?
400.
I see what you're trying to say, but I'm gonna have to go to 3 year to 50-hour route, because it's only 3 years. I mean, now if you were talking about
5 years,
about 10 years,
or got any issues, it's under warranty. If you got any issues, it's under warranty.
Where do you draw the line there, though?
Walker, you know,
It's easy, fuckers.
what kind of motor did Lee Huffman? What's he got? A Suzuki?
Evan Rude.
No,
No.
shut up. You know what he's got.
He's got Evan Rude.
Got an
Shut
Evan Rude.
up. You know what
Lee
he's
Huffman's
got.
got an Evan
He's
Rude.
got an
John.
Evan Rude.
Yeah.
Scott knows what he's got.
I was just curious.
He's got a Gen 2 Rude.
So
Great
Walker,
outboard.
when I was thinking about getting a Suzuki, Walker had his Suzuki was 3 years old, and it had 5,200 hours on it.
Whoa.
And yeah, I think he did one service to it. So that's kind of why, because I wanted a Yamaha, but I figure if Walker can have a
Listen,
Suzuki for 3 years.
Yamaha's living off their two-stroke reputation. When it comes to four-stroke outboards nowadays, they're all great.
So
Yeah,
I had
Suzuki,
both.
I would rather have a Suzuki than a Yamaha, but simply because actually, I don't know. I would probably rather take the Yamaha simply because it's easier to work on.
If you're buying an outboard motor, if you're buying a boat and you think you might sell it, not keep it long, get a Yamaha. If you're buying a boat that you want to keep personally, and a Yamaha holds its value. If you're going to buy a boat that you want to fish off of and you plan on keeping it for a long time, go with the Suzuki, because Yamaha is almost like a culture. Just like Junior said, it's living off of its two-stroke, but Yamaha was great motors, and even their four-strokes are great motors. You know, but Suzuki,
they've had issues.
No matter what.
Suzuki's got a chain. Their cam is chain driven versus Yamaha's is belt driven. Is that correct?
I don't know.
Not a big.
When I was doing my research, Yamaha was having issues with their lower unit back about 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know if they straightened that out or not.
And they were having trouble with their harmonic balancers about 10 to 15 years ago.
But then I've heard Suzuki's, you know, some of them have issues with valves.
You ain't had no trouble with this Suzuki, have you?
All I know, so when I was shopping for boats, I guess years ago, the one thing someone said is never buy a boat with a Honda.
Honda makes good motors. I think Honda was the first four-stroke motor.
I
always opened the market up for four-stroke.
Listen, when they
I always heard that Honda never upgraded. Like their four-stroke that they started with was basically their four-stroke now. Like they don't engineer anything into their newer motors. They're heavier.
Yeah, when they first started making four-strokes,
you could run them for 10,000 hours.
20 years ago, early 2000s, when they first started making the first four-stroke outboards, Hondas were by far the worst ones. So they've got a bad reputation because it's kind of similar to E-Tech. How E-Tech has a bad reputation dating back all the way to that Fitch motor when it was still under OMC.
Oh God, that was a terrible motor.
You could find a Honda blown power heads. Craigslist was just absolutely littered with them. They were just junk. They couldn't figure it out. I don't know what the deal was with them, but
I want to get my next motor will be a Force.
The warranties at all.
The Force motors are where it's at.
Force motors. Now, which Force weren't like certain year Force motors made by like Chrysler, and certain years were made by Mercury?
Yeah.
Now, there's also a Mariner motor, like certain size outboard Mariners were actually made by Yamaha.
No, Mercury was Mariner. Mercury was Mariner.
I have an outboard right now. I could show you that's a Mariner that was made by Yamaha. It actually
I thought Mercury was Mariner.
It's a certain horsepower. Like once you get to a certain horsepower up, it's
Pete, are you running? You're running Yamaha, aren't you?
So I have a Yamaha on the offshore boat and a Suzuki on the Bulls Bay.
No trouble with either one.
I've been lucky so far, knock on wood. I have had a small issue with the Yamaha, which has been taken care of. I blew the seal and lower units last fall. Luckily, I caught that pretty early. But otherwise, no, man. My other boat I had before the Bulls Bay was a Yamaha. I put 1,400 hours on that motherfucker.
Yeah.
No problems at all.
My boat before this one was I had the Yamaha 152 stroke. Man, that thing was.
comparing both,
Yeah.
they're both solid. There's no doubt about it. Looking at both, Yamaha parts were a hell of a lot easier to find and get. Suzuki, you really got to dig to find the part number and everything.
Well,
You
I
don't
mean, yeah,
know.
but that's
Also, for
that's
oil changes
improving.
and such, the Suzuki's a lot tougher than the Yamaha.
It is. It is. But if I were to buy a new outfit,
dealers around than you will Yamaha now.
it's
What's
starting
that?
to become that way.
You'll
Yes.
find more around our area. You'll see more Suzuki dealers than you will Yamaha dealers.
That's because you can't find Yamahas like that. They're so backward right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was ordering my motor, it was right after one of the major hurricanes, and they told me if I was looking for a 300 Yamaha, it was going to be like 8 or 9 months.
Sounds about right. Yeah.
Because all their big motors are going to these offshore insurance claims.
Oh, really?
And when I went, what's funny though is like, I don't know if it has something to do with the shortage, but like, I go to Destin and all I used to see was Yamahas, and now like Suzuki's catching up. It's about 50-50 now.
Yeah.
Where do you fish in Destin? Near the state park down there?
Where do I fish in Destin?
Yes.
I
Isn't
go
there
out
like
the East Pass.
Isn't there like a big state park down there? somewhere?
But that's more east of where I fish.
Okay.
Miramar, there's a big state park. I go right out of Destin Harbor when I fish.
You do any surf fishing down there?
I went in February when the pompanos were real thick, and that was fun. But normally during the October when we go, surf fishing sucks. It's like you might catch some ladyfish or a shark.
But
But we
you talking
normally go
about
about
motors.
So, Scott, you've been to that Anna Maria Island I mentioned earlier, right?
Yeah, one time.
One time. Did you like it?
Yeah.
How long ago was it, roughly?
What's that?
How long ago was it?
6 years maybe.
About the same time I went, actually. So it was October, maybe September I went. And I tell you what, I actually wore these Spanish mackerels casting the beach out there. I mean, it was pretty fun, fast fishing.
Were you throwing them little
Small little spoons.
yeah.
Folly spoons.
I mean, you'd see them busting the glass minnows or shad, whatever, out there. And
What are them other metal body baits, like jerk baits? You got really
plugs, I think.
Yeah, got you plugs. Yeah.
Yep, I do a lot better with spoons out there. A lot of locals are like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'm like, "That's a dang spoon I use in NC. Where can you get them at?" So I actually had to hook them up online where to get this exact spoon at, because I was fucking catching a 7-to-1 with them.
I had a funny story about surf fishing, Dustin. I had I caught like a big grunt or something. I hooked it, threw it out in my big pin, and I put it in the rod holder. And my brother-in-law was sitting next to it. We had a bad knee. And I was out there casting a spoon about waist deep. And I heard him like grunt. And I looked over and he's trying to get up off this bucket because his knee's messed up and the rod's doubled over. And I see the PVC pole just creeping down, in the sand. And so you ever try to run in waist deep water? You're not very fast. So I'm going in waist deep water, and it finally hits the ground and the rod's going across the sand. And it's early morning. There ain't many people out there. So it's about 2 feet deep going out, and I just kind of dive on it. And I grab it and I come up and there's water coming out my nose, and I got this fish on. It's a spinner shark. Wes would be proud. He was jumping and spinning out there, and he finally broke me off. And this old man came over and he goes, "That's about the funniest thing I've ever seen."
I'd like to see that too.
I know.
Yeah.
That would have been a.
But
viral
yeah,
TikTok.
sharks about the only thing you can catch there that time of year.
Well, last week Saturday when we were out, when me and Bobby, week before last, the biggest wahoo of the day got sharked. And at that moment, I hated a fucking shark. Man, that wahoo, it was smoking. It's probably 25, maybe 28
that's why
pounds.
people hate them.
And I got him about halfway to the boat. And then all of a sudden, my line just went limp. And I just said, "Oh, shit." And Bobby said, "What? Keep reeling, keep reeling." I said, "Hell, ain't no need to keep reeling. He's gone." He said, "What do you mean gone?" I said, "Hell, he just got sharked." He said, "How you know?" I said, "Look at his fucking carcass back there floating."
Ain't that what Pete told you a year ago? You were going to hate them bastards one day?
Fuck them.
Can't believe anything Pete says. He says he caught a 50-pound catfish on a downrigger ball.
It's 60 now. 10 minutes later.
No, I do. Hey, the shark fishing, JR, that video that we did out at Fry Pan Tower, that was amazing, dude. That was a great video.
I never seen it. Is it done?
It took him about a
Drop
week.
pins.
I want to do another one.
Let's do it in the June.
I want to do
I'll have
it.
10
We
days
have to
off
do,
in June.
you know, Tony Caton gave us 3 rods. He gave us 3 rods to go make a shark video with, and we never did do it.
Damn, they'll be out of business before you get that video done.
I'm gonna tell you right now, if we do a video on my boat, it ain't gonna be a fucking shark video. It's gonna be something else. But
That little Chinese TikTok video is going to put them out of business before that happens.
Hey, Pete, we're
thanks,
going
John.
out. I don't know what you've got planned, but I'm going down Memorial Day. We're going to be down there for 4 or 5 days. I'm not sure yet.
I am actually off that whole weekend.
Yeah. Hey, that's Black Bike Week, ain't it, JR?
Hey, John, I hate sharks and I hate catfish. I'm only interested in the giant, majestic beast, the giants. That's the only ones I'm interested in.
Pete,
I
if
hate
you
the
want to
other
come
ones.
down
Just supposed to be
Memorial
anyone
Day,
else.
if you want to come down Memorial Day, we're going to try to either that Friday or that Saturday. I'm going to fish one of the days, whichever one, the best weather, weather permitting.
Gotta
We'll
get
go
that
out on the
window.
ledge if you want to come.
Me and Pete are fishing. We're having a tournament Saturday night on Lake Norman. I don't know what you guys are planning, but we got to get through
No,
this
we're
first.
talking about for Memorial Day weekend at the beach.
All right, well, let's get through this weekend first. Saturday night, Pete.
Saturday night. I might be one-eyed then. Saturday night.
That's fine.
I don't care
I'll see-
what
I'll
I
see
say.
out
You're
there.
going to have them cataract glasses on, them big black cataract.
I want a 5th of literally anything made by Heaven Hill. As long as it's made by Heaven Hill, I don't care.
Scott Perry won't never get on the boat with me again offshore.
I like that top
Scott,
shot.
hey, Scott said, Wes, he said, did that thing send a signal? I said, no, I'm just trying to test it and it keeps blinking red. Scott said, oh hell. I said, oh man, it's all fuck it. So I put it back up there about 15, about 30 minutes later. Scott said, here they come. And I looked, I said, where? He looked at that helicopter coming that way. I said, oh man, they ain't coming out here for us. They're having some kind of military practice.
Hey Wes, I bet with you and Shane on the boat, there wasn't nothing not touched. You two touching every damn thing.
Hey,
Shane drinking coffee, touching shit.
that helicopter made about
What did you call Shane earlier, by the way? What was that?
That helicopter made about 3 circles of Shane, and Scott shook his head and said, I told you. And Scott's waving at him.
Shane out there making lotion commercials.
Hey, listen. Hey, and
Shane
then-
wrote a sea biscuit.
About 15 minutes later, Scott said, oh, hell. I said, fuck, what is it now? He said, look behind you. And I turned around, and a fucking cutter's coming about 50 miles an hour, busting 3-foot waves, throwing them so big you can't even see the boat. And Scott said, they finally got up to the boat. And I said, I wonder what that big-ass book they got for us. Scott said, that's write your ass one of them big-ass tickets. I was nervous as hell.
Hey, they had that big pad when they got on the boat. I told Wes, I said, "Oh boy, they got there's Shane. Hell yeah, he rose Seabiscuit to the championship that year."
Look at there. See, look, guys, it's going to take two guides to compete with JR. Look at there, Lee Huffman. Pete, I'll ride with you Saturday night.
Lee Huffman's a volunteer striper fisherman.
They have no
I'm a
idea.
firefighter.
You guys, they have no idea, Scott, how to catch these hybrids out there at night. They have no idea.
No clue. None. Zero. Not at all.
They're out.
I
Of
know
their
I'd be
wheelhouse.
running some. I'd wear y'all's ass out with some 10-pound tests and some damn #1 hooks.
What are you going to do? How are you going to do it? How are you going to catch them?
Circle hooks? Circle hooks? Yeah, no. No, I was kidding.
Circle
Yeah.
hooks. So what? It's just circle hooks? You just going to throw a pack of circle hooks out there?
No, I'd have I'd have 10-pound tests.
What kind of rod? What kind of rod are you going to use? How are you going to go about?
You're breaking up there, Patagonia.
Can load up.
Come on, Patagonia, you're breaking up.
Use circle hooks. Go ahead. I dare you to use circle hooks.
I've used it my whole career, JR.
I'm
Circle
talking
hooks
about the
are for
hybrids,
beginners.
right? I'm talking about the hybrids on the dock lights on Norman.
Yeah, I fuck them up.
Yeah, come on out there then.
I still can't get over Patagonia.
I'll buy you a bottle of Pappy Van Winkle. How about that?
Well, I tell you this, Jerry, I wouldn't have a float. I would pitch bait at the dock if they're sitting on the corner of the dock.
For a real little competition here, we need to do it at a time where we're both not familiar. Let's say the summer months.
Somebody told JR that the only way a circle hook works is if you've got a real flimsy rod so it can load up. He can swallow it and turn in his mouth. And
I'll take you to school. Come on out there, hop on the trophy. I'll take you to school. I'll let you use what you want to use, and I'll use what I want to use. And finally, you'll eventually swallow your pride and be like, okay,
I'm not going to Texas rig my owl wives.
Oh, JR.
You gotta have a crappy rod when you're using circle hooks.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now. I think that you're thinking that you're going to go within casting distance and toss a live herring over there on a free line and wear them out, and that's just not the case. It's not going to happen.
Oh yeah, it would happen with an open face, so I could pitch it.
Open face. Who calls a spinning reel an open face? God,
Yankee.
For you to be such an experienced, seasoned striper fisherman, you say some dumb shit sometimes.
Man, but I'm not wearing a Patagonia hat.
Damn.
All right, guys. Hey, it's been a good show.
We're rolling right now. Come on.
Hey, one more thing before I go, because I'm really going. JR, that $400 Saltiga reel that I bought that I was talking about how smooth it was.
Oh my God.
The anti-reverse locked up in that son of a bitch.
What is he doing to his reels? What is he doing?
Dude, I don't know. But I'm not buying nothing else Daiwa's going on my fucking boat. Nothing. Nothing.
Baby.
Nothing. I'm done.
Damn.
Done with Daiwa.
Shimano
or Penn, or it won't go on my boat.
I'm going to tell you why that shit fucking locked up on you. I'll tell you exactly why. I ain't seen no motherfucker ever except you, damn, constantly have that damn clicker on, no matter what.
You know what's funny? Pete?
Hold on. I'm watching you that bottom fishing clicker on.
The reason, listen to
I need earplugs, motherfucker.
The reason that I use a clicker all the time, because most of the people that go offshore with me has never used those reels, and I don't like cleaning up a lot of fucking backlash, and I don't carry thousands of yards of line on my boat. So I tell them, just leave the fucking clicker on, and I don't have to clean nothing up. That's why. But if I'm by myself, like when I was on your boat, I don't leave a clicker on.
Oh, hell
all these reels, all these reels that have blown up on Wes. But if you go fishing with him right now, I guarantee you he's got one on the ready. It's being fished.
There's not a doubt. There's nothing else Daiwa on my boat.
What you gonna do with them saltuses and that Saltiga?
That's what I'm doing. I have not yet had a Shimano reel to fail.
Sell them to me.
You come get them.
Sell me them junk things. How much you gonna give them to me for?
Well, sell them to Mercer so he don't lose them on them damn cold waters or whatever.
Damn.
Damn.
It's so funny. Mercer is like he's getting ready to be the new JR if he's not already.
Yeah, he don't know it, but he is.
Dude,
I'll tell you,
he's like really writing paragraphs. Like, what is your problem, dude? And I'm like, that is not what you should say in here.
David's a great guy. I like David. I think the world of him. He's a good guy.
He just didn't know where he was.
Of course,
he got off center.
I think that day he realized what the chain game was all about.
Yeah.
But it's there again. This shit with circle hooks. I always think circle hooks for beginners. You don't have to. You do not. I repeat, you do not have to have a limp rod to catch a fish with a circle hook. That shit, letting it load up and it's got to swallow it and turn a certain way to hook it. That's a crock of shit. Tell them, JR.
Shit, hey, I'll watch the damn circle hook.
I don't think Wes understands how a circle hook works. That's why he hates it.
I'll tell you, I think he knows exactly how it works because I watched the dang circle hook catch a grown man's fucking finger last year.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
There you go. And then he's like, I ain't never used these motherfuckers again. Threw them all over.
I mean, you got J-hook fishermen and then you got circle hook fishermen. There's two different classes.
But now, like, hey, Pete, offshore, and I ordered one. I didn't know this. I was looking at fish rules the other night. I didn't know by law I've got to have a descending device on my boat.
You do, but that is gray area. You can literally say, "Hey, I got this this hook that's straightened out that I can use that to pierce the fucking whatever of a fish."
Did you see that yellow eye snapper that Shane caught?
I did.
Hey, Wes, I got a question.
Yeah,
How many black sea bass did you bring back this time?
none.
When you're trophy striper fishing with boards, you don't want to use circle hooks. You want to use a Gamakatsu river hook.
Yeah, Wes,
Look
listen,
at
he's
him
telling
fucking
you
changing
some good
subject
stuff.
on us. God damn.
When a striper starts to mess with the
Oh.
board, you take the rod out of the rod holder.
We're talking
Yeah.
about real
Board, you
fish.
watch what's going on, and you set the hook. You part its eyes. Woo!
Yeah,
You snap. You
yeah, Wes,
snap it.
don't look at none of my pictures. All them fish were caught on J hooks.
I know, right?
Hey, John,
No,
I
I'm
see
just
you-
saying that your hookup ratio is going to go
God.
way down, Scott.
No, it's way high. It's 90%.
Hey,
Seven-
Pete,
70% is still good. It might anecdotally it may be 90 for you.
No,
Yes,
it's 90.
but for as a whole, you're probably like looking at most a 70% hookup ratio.
90,
with circles
90% on boards.
Hey,
Now, hey, Pete.
I know a guy. Let's talk recent because you're only as good as your last game, right? Let's talk recent.
Well, I ain't got a grass game.
David Mercer, Lake
Well, he
Russell,
wasn't good at all.
just caught a trophy. He missed an even bigger fish than that on a planer board using a circle hook.
That
How
happens.
do you know it's even bigger?
That's part of
How do you know
trophy.
it's even bigger.
That's part of trophy striper fishing, dude. That's part of
You
it.
got a 90% hookup ratio.
I
What are you
do.
talking about? Are you being a hypocrite? Are you being?
Well, if I'm running them big ass baits, I'm running a stinger hook. So
Oh, well, the stinger's not a circle.
How
yeah,
do you
there is.
know?
If you hold it this way, it looks just like a C. This looks like a circle.
Mm-hmm.
hey, Pete. Like
So-
when we're offshore, I know on the regulations, like on our chicken rigs, you know, the rig that you taught me to tie, that's what I use.
Yep.
We have to use circle hooks out there, but do you think you'd have a better hookup ratio with J hooks out there? Or do you
Nope.
think the top bottom fishing is better if circle hooks are better?
Circle hooks, no doubt.
Well, listen,
Circle
I
hooks
got
are
some
way
Andy.
better.
I took some Andy now, and this is weird, and this is fishing, and the first two fish we caught Saturday, we caught two small beeliners. So I took a beeliner, hooked him between the dorsal and his back fin, and I told my wife, I said, "Watch this shit. We're gonna get a grouper today." So I drop it down. Now I switched up, and it's hard to tie the knots in them, but I started using 100-pound mono for my chicken rigs.
Uh-huh.
And I fought that fish he hit. It wasn't down there 5 seconds. I mean, he nailed it. And listen, now, granted, I've got a $300 Torres rod and a Talica 16 I'm bottom fishing with. I couldn't do nothing with that fish, and boom, it popped. So I reel it all the way back up. And you know where it popped at?
Where's that?
Between the leader and the first hook, 100-pound mono.
Oh yeah.
Why didn't it get my braid? Because my braid's only 80 pounds. Why did it pop that mono?
Well, sometimes your braid's stronger than mono.
Well, it depends on how long your leader was.
Well, I mean, aren't you grouper and structure too? I mean,
Yeah.
aren't you-
It didn't abrase the braid, or it would have broken the braid. It abrased the
Well, I've
leader.
got 60. Well, I'm sorry, let me back up. I've got about 100 yards on that particular reel. I think I had about 100 yards of 60-pound Andy Blue mono for a top shot. And
That 50-pound mono, Andy, I gave
60.
you the Blue Monster.
yeah, no 60.
I gave you a 3,000 yard spool of 50-pound Blue Monster.
Yeah, it's still out there in the building. But why did it? But I didn't see nothing. I didn't see no phrase or no. It's just like it stretched it and popped it. And I don't understand why it didn't get my braid or the top shot, but it popped the 100-pound leader.
I would guess he would rub that on structure if I was guessing.
You experienced big boy shit there finally for once.
Man, I'm telling you, dude, that bottom I found out there last year, I caught fish on it every time. And every time I get hung up, and when we reel it up, even Shane, he reeled it up. He said, "What the fuck?" He said, "What is this?" I said, "It's sponge." He said, "Sponge." I said, "Yeah, buddy, that means we're fishing in the right place. You just keep dropping."
Yeah,
JR,
100 pounds, nothing when you're talking about coral reefs. Bottom.
JR.
Yeah.
You're talking about trophy fish hook. Now, when you're talking about trophy fish hookups, like your percentage is only going to be 50% anyway, no matter what you use. Do you agree?
It's a lot of it's very subjective, a lot of contingencies.
No, I mean, what did I tell you when we went fishing? I said you're going to get hooked up, but you probably ain't going to get to the boat.
Give me
you're going to get a
okay. Well, if you're talking about fishing trees, which is what you're talking about, then yeah, you're right.
Well, I mean, where do you trophy fish where there's no structure?
There's my buddy.
He's fucking bored at this fucking catfish.
Freshwater.
Yeah.
Freshwater. Okay, just one place off the top of my head. Right now at the top of Chickamauga in the river.
No, I said trophy.
Well,
Not.
I'm talking, 40+ pound striper up there.
There's 40-pound striper
in Chickamauga. Yeah, of course. They come up the river in the spring. I mean, it's a small window.
And there's no structure.
It's there are areas where there aren't structure. There's a lot of large areas where there are no structure at all. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I thought it was my impression years ago that circle hooks were designed just to keep fish from swallowing the bait and killing fish. That was the whole purpose of them. Is that correct, or am I wrong?
Well, you're sort of both. It prevents the fish from getting gut hooked.
Yeah.
I've gut hooked a lot of fish with circle hooks.
I was going to say I have too.
But you've caught a lot more than you've gut hooked with circle.
Yeah, I think the reason I went with circle hooks is I don't like I like for the fish to set the hook. I like to reel down on them.
That's right. That's
I don't like to have to.
Rods.
I mean, when you're especially
you have circle hook rods. You're not using IM8 graphite rods. That's why if you look at Shad Shack, the rods they use, they're all graphite stiff rods, and that's why they don't use circles. You are using limber rods. Wes, if you're using the big cat fever rods, those are circle hook rods for trophy fish. That's why you got a good hookup ratio. Now, whether you're doing that on purpose or you just happen to be luckily accidentally using the proper equipment, I mean, that's up in the air.
I'm a jerker though. I like to jerk when a fish.
Well, if you like to jerk,
that's why circle hooks ain't working for you.
Using circle hooks if you like.
I haven't jerked
offshore. When I'm offshore, I have to use them. When I'm fishing, I have to use them.
I haven't jerked a freaking set of hook in 20 years. Who's this clown?
John picks the worst times to come on.
What's up, John?
9:52. I thought we went till 10:30 last week.
Are you in a gamer chair? What are we talking? What are you doing?
He's a gamer chair in the kids' room.
Yeah, look, we're about to play virtual fishing.
He's playing Call of Duty. Leave him alone.
No, so Pete, what are you in on the Big Rock or what?
So when is it again? The exact date?
June the 10th.
No, that's a tough stretch of work for me right there. I'm off the 18th
Pete,
to the 28th.
No, okay, yeah, you're getting ready to get off like what, 8 days, but yeah, you'll be back to work by then, by June 8th.
Technically, I'm working right now and drinking beer. How about that?
Dang.
Yeah.
Where's it at? The Big Rock? Where's that?
Morehead City.
Oh, you're talking
that's
about
that big.
Kings.
That's the big marlin tournament.
Marlin, okay.
Oh, y'all are fishing that? That's rich people shit.
When is the U.S. Open
for
Kings?
That is October. This year's going to be October the 7th and 8th, which is going to be awesome because the last several years has been like October 1st, 2nd, 3rd, which is the first Saturday.
Are you getting in that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm already off vacation, everything for that.
I'll smoke your ass another feet.
Motherfucker, bring it on. Ain't no damn circle hooks in this big boy shit.
I don't
Hell
like circle hooks.
Gravel hooking, baby.
Yeah.
Circle hooks.
What do you use, Pete?
Any bait you put on a circle hook to me is just aggravating as hell.
Nah, man,
you got to put it on a certain angle and turn it a certain way and then pull it back.
It has to go in a certain way.
All about the size of the bait.
Wes, we can't hear you. Turn your volume up. Can't hear you.
Get used to it.
Can't hear you.
Yeah, you can hear me.
I can hear you.
So my original crew members for the U.S. Open already said that they have got to work that weekend because of some big event with their
Oh,
coach.
I'm in.
So come on, let's do it.
Man, John's gonna fish a big rock this year, ain't we, John?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
You're
John,
fishing the big
John,
rock?
you need a real
Yeah.
deckhand. I'd advise against that.
What's the entry fee?
I think we're gonna do the $500, the mahi
25 for Mahi.
25.
So how much is it if you
25,000
get it
Wes.
everything?
It's 42,000. I think if you do all of them.
Yeah, that's what y'all, Wes. Put some
Yeah.
air conditioners in.
What is
Hey,
that,
I'm
like
putting one in
one
tomorrow.
unit, right?
Hey, I wanna, the main reason I want to go up there, and I know y'all gonna think this is stupid. I want to see Michael Jordan.
Shit.
He,
What is it like
he,
the
he
first?
almost dunked me last year when he was crossing over to Hatteras. I had to
Isn't
wait
it like
on the
the
line of boats, and he comes rolling by in an 80-foot Viking.
and like the
Freaking waves.
If you want to see Michael Jordan, just go to that damn airport the night before. He'll fucking show up.
isn't it like the first 500-pound marlins worth so much?
I think it's
Yeah, I
first
think over 400.
400, right? 400.
$500,000, I think.
That's the biggest
800,000.
fishing tournament in the world, isn't it? Or one of them.
It's biggest on the East Coast, I believe.
Yep.
They
And
have
you're
the biggest
scared to fish,
prize.
Pete.
I'm not scared to fish. Nah, not at all.
Yeah, I think the
Like I
most
said,
that
hey, in Costa Rica, man, when I was out there here like a couple weeks back, a week ago, I learned some shit about marlin fishing out there. I'm like, yeah, I might try that back home at some point. And all you gotta do is have one rod with the right lure on there. That's it.
are they pulling the mini marlin?
No, not at all.
I've seen some guys with those $800 lures that they put back there like a teaser
A
marlin.
little teaser, yeah. I've seen that too. Yeah, no, they're very basic back there. I mean, again, there's a lot more fish in that neck of the woods there, but like I think they really believe in like a yellow orange large plug back there. Yeah, imitating a dolphin.
They don't pitch the bonitas to them.
They do actually have that on standby. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with y'all, and I'm still really, really super new to all this saltwater shit, but it's just amazing to me how strong those fucking fish are. I mean, I didn't want nothing else to do with an amberjack. I was trying to catch a grouper, but just that little old 45-pound amberjack we caught Saturday, I had to sit down. I was done. And that one I caught out there with Bobby and them, I was done, dude. I didn't want to catch another fish. And it's like the harder you pull, they're gonna pull twice as hard.
Let me tell you this. Let me tell you something that's so difficult about actually targeting grouper. You know, I used to back, years before I even met you guys, we would target grouper. And so we would have tanks full of live bait. You fucking can't do it, man, because you anchor up on a spot and you catch like 10, 15 amberjack and you're fucking beat, man. You can't do it, And so if you're actually targeting grouper, you've got to weed through the damn amberjack to get to them sometimes.
And we threw away a strawberry grouper. I wasn't sure. Somebody told me if you load your fish apps up, like before you go offshore, let it refresh. Once you get out there, you don't have to have internet. You can just touch it, and that's bullshit. You got to have fucking internet service, or that fish apps, or my fish rules don't work. So we threw away a fucking strawberry grouper, and one of the guys on the offshore page said, "Dude, that's one of the best eating species of grouper that's out there." But he said there's no size limit on them. He said that was a big one y'all caught. He said, "Did y'all really throw it back?" I said, "Hell yeah, I threw it back."
I have a spot out there that I go to all the time. I name it on my unit the Strawberry Patch. And if I can't catch grouper anywhere else, we'll go in there and we'll catch limits of strawberry grouper nonstop.
The red snapper don't eat you up when you're trying to grouper fish.
They have recently as well. Yes,
Scott, we caught about 8 big red snapper.
Yeah.
Couldn't keep them.
I know every time they tell us in Destin that the grouper at this depth or whatever, and we'll go out there and all you catch is red snappers.
Yeah.
As soon as you drop down.
What was your water temperature, Wes?
I was in 70. Listen, it really didn't change much, John. When I got out to about 100 foot.
JR, why are you shopping for fucking poppers?
It was 71 degrees at about 100 foot. And when I finally made it out to the ledge, I even went over to some 350 foot deeper water. It was only 72.5. I think it's the highest I've seen it. and I missed the mahi by 200 feet. They were killing them at 500 feet of water. I could have went another 2 miles and loaded the boat up with mahi, but last week there was 60 boats on the ledge, and we caught every species out there except a marlin or a yellowfin tuna. So I guess the temperature break is just moving in and out right now.
These are the
Get in that
things that
Gulf
you're going to
Stream when
need.
that water's purple.
You what, John?
When the water's purple and you'll feel like the air temperature change, water temp.
Yeah.
John, I'm gonna tell
Fun.
you this, by the way. So the many years I've actually fished the stream, I've only seen quote purple water one time ever.
Then you weren't in the stream.
Well, yes and no.
These guys aren't.
I mean,
they
it
fish out a
moves.
little river. They don't know what the stream looks like.
Well, Little
John.
River, the stream's 70 miles. I mean,
Well,
right
hey,
now
John,
it's
I'll
70
try to-
miles. Like that's a
80,
haul.
90 miles.
No, I run
yeah.
70. Saturday we run when I went out to from my marina. When I went out to the 350, 380 foot water, I ran 77 miles.
Now, how many miles is it from your marina to the ocean? So you have to deduct that from
2 miles. I'm 2.5 miles from the inlet.
So changing subject just very slightly. I actually when I went to my boat last week, I plugged in the swordfish numbers I was given to one of my tried and true friends, and from my marina, it's exactly 90.1 miles, which actually excites me a little
it's
more.
90 miles. I think when Wes is going 70, are you going straight out, Wes, or are you going at an
No,
angle?
I'm going almost. When I go to the ledge, like where me and you started at McMarlin, when you
Yeah,
come
that's
out
not
of
the
little river,
ledge. That's a ledge, but that's not the continental shelf.
No, McMarlin
No.
is a little bit north. But when we go out to when that water, JR, went from 160 down to 400 and 600, that's the ledge. We were fishing on the ledge. I promise you, that's the ledge. We run 72 miles, I think. And then when you go south, it took me a while to figure this out. Pete finally explained it to me. When I come out of the Little River Inlet, I'm going straight, right? But I'm still going due south. Because when you come out of the mouth of Little River Inlet, it's pointing south. So when
It took him forever to realize that. Y'all remember the fights we had over? No, it's north. No, it's east. No, it's what? No, it's south. He finally gets it. Finally fucking gets it. God, I will drink to that. You got it.
But I'm almost in line with Georgetown.
For the IPA.
That's right. That was the last sip.
If you had out a Little River, they have a spot is exactly 30 miles. It's only 100 foot, but that's what I have on my map as the Atlantic Ledge.
Yeah.
And if you go there and it's calm, you'll see 30 boats, and they all fish one spot, and it's just loaded up with fish. But another 4 miles from there, it drops. I think you're in 150.
And the grass
300 foot of water.
last week there were so many grass lines it would look good to fish. We fished 2 of them, but this past week, the way the wind was, dude, the grass was so scattered. You know, out there at 350 foot of water, you couldn't even pull. I mean, it was just it was just so spread out. There was no weed lines at all. It was just like patches everywhere.
There's been times where I've gone offshore to fish a stream and I've seen scattered grass like that. And after about an hour and a half, I'm like, fuck it, we're bottom fishing. I'm done.
Yeah, and that's what we did. That's when we decided to bottom fish.
What happened to the huge seagrass that was going to hit Florida and destroy
It's still
everything?
coming. They say it's still coming. It's supposed
Thank
to be
you
good
for
about another
mentioning
month.
that, Scott, because I'm still waiting on that dang huge, massive, epic grass cluster that's supposed to dang hit. No, it's not happening. Fucking clickbaits, all that shit.
Well, hey, have y'all noticed that nobody gets lost in the Bermuda Triangle no more?
GPS and Verizon.
Live scope, baby. Live scope.
No, and that red button.
That red button.
Yep.
Does that chair have speakers in it? John,
What's that?
does that chair have speakers in it?
No.
That
It
thing
does
is
not.
sweet.
It's
I got to
pretty
get
comfortable.
one. Is that on Amazon?
I don't know. My wife got it for me.
John, this is fucking. Will you leave that man alone, Scott?
I love it. You know, one of the first when I went to go the first time I fished Hartwell, I ran across one of Scott's videos, and I was like, "Dang, this guy, he's got to be a guide. He's got 100,000 views." Then about 2 or 3 minutes in, I realized why his video is popular. He's got his wife out there fishing a bikini. I was like, This is why he's got 100,000 views.
Hey, you gotta learn it's sex or violence, right?
Hey, have you ever noticed too
Or
on all
shit talk,
Scott's
right?
videos? All the Scott's videos, when you click on them, when you go to Fairy Dice, it's Heather's in the picture of the first one every time.
Clickbait.
So I'll be straight up honest with you guys. I don't fucking play on YouTube at all, so I don't even know what you're talking about. Unless
You
someone,
lying bastard.
I am not lying. I don't know.
You're lying. I seen you on YouTube.
I ain't got the fucking time to play on YouTube.
You watched all of JR's videos.
Absolutely not. He's got videos. What?
Pete's on there
Hey,
watching
John.
how to tie a FG knot.
Yeah.
Hey, John,
I
when's the
gotta
last
learn
time
something like how to fix my truck. I'll browse YouTube or something, But
Hey, wait a minute. You said something to F. Who can tie a FG knot consistently?
I can tie a FG knot.
And like every time.
I mean, yeah.
That's the worst knot. I can do it perfect one time. The next time, it fucking
The
falls
best-
apart.
John, I feel
the,
like
the best knot, the best knot from mono to braid is an Alberto knot, hands down.
John, I feel like
Pete, Listen, I'm getting
someone
off here,
needed
but
some,
Pete, Saturday for Lake Norman, bring your Aberdeen hooks, bring your slip float, preferably a Billy Boy, bring your rubber bobber stop, and bring a very, very limber rod and a spinning reel. That's what you're going to need if you really want to maximize your catch rate.
I'll
on
bring
these
one rod and a
hybrids.
bucket full of shit.
What kind of hook was that?
A wet Billy Bob.
Aberdeen.
Aberdeen hook?
Aberdeen hook, yeah.
I don't know what that is.
Circles aren't, you're going to
Hey,
miss
it's,
fish constantly with circles. Trust me.
And
I don't know what an
Aberdeen-
Aberdeen
and
is. I'm going to
Aberdeen-
Google it.
Aberdeen is a bougie kale hook.
I'll have to
No, it's
look
not.
up on YouTube.
Here, I'll show it to you.
Yeah,
John,
show me.
So about those knots, I feel like maybe you needed a new knot
There
for
you go.
your
No.
Cherokee Lake tournament. No?
Nope.
There's an Aberdeen hook, Scott.
That's awful, JR. That's that gold hook that you got at Walmart for crappy.
Now, granted, this is the
Long
only situation that you're going to be like any other time. I'm using like a 1/0 circle for hybrid.
You need to put that Patagonia hat up.
You don't want to use an Aberdeen any other time.
That's
That
terrible.
Patagonia hat is fucking with his
Come
dang
on out
fishing
there.
abilities.
I'll prove it to you.
A
Bring your
long
circle
shank
hooks out
gold
there
hook.
Saturday night, and
Hey,
and
You,
we'll see who
you want
catches
to
more
bring a
fish.
long shank gold circle or gold
JR,
hook.
JR, that Patagonia, what
Yes.
state was that founded in?
You
Seattle
could use
has to be.
you could use any hook you want. You can use any J hook, any treble hook you want. Just don't bring a circle. I'm telling you.
Yeah, because you'll catch them all.
I'm gonna be there Saturday. What time is it again?
Oh, we're having a tournament.
Nah. I honestly, I fished Lake Norman 3 times in my life. I wouldn't even know where to start.
But you're going to be there Saturday?
Yeah.
So
JR, where's the light at?
Hey, JR, if you say
Yeah.
we catch fish like that, I might bring my grandson up there.
Hell yeah.
Wes, you won't catch stuff like that.
Get you some gold long shank hooks at Walmart, JR says, and a Billy Bob float.
Yeah, well,
And a
not your
Benjamin.
typical crappy Aberdeen, but like a 1 or 2/0 Aberdeen, like a thicker one. I'm telling you, that's the best thing to use. I mean, you can use trebles, J hooks, whatever you want to use, but you got to set the hooks on these things. You can't a circle hook is not going to work. You're going to miss literally 90% of your fish at least, maybe
I
100.
got a
You may not
box
catch
full
a
of shit
fish.
for my night fishing days. I'm good.
You may not catch a fish trying to catch these things off these docks. I promise you.
You got to dot their I's.
Patagonia is in South America.
You had to Google it.
Damn.
Governed by Chile.
I was trying to pull up a chart of where that for whatever reason my charts aren't loading, but are you talking about a 1,500 foot drop for
Be right back.
swordfish, Pete?
Not necessarily. No, you don't really need a big drop for sword fishing.
I'm
He's
out.
got to have mud bottom, and